May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect uh, today's message. Among Bakwartav, Barakalat Shem Yahweh, Shalamalat Shem Yahweh, Rash Chedash Naisan, Yachashadal, and that Kofi, headed to Servants of Christ, Mashalom. Hey, hello everybody, I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Once again, Rash Chedash Naisan to each and every one of you. That is simply put, our new year. Aman. Early, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, to each and every one of you. It doesn't start technically till sundown this evening, but early Rosh Chodesh Nisan to each and every one of you. We will have the Google Calendar invite and all over social media where you can click on the Zoom link. We'll be starting at about 11 p.m. So we'll have our session today. Right now, of course, we'll have our session in the evening time, of course, and then later on, we shall at around 11 p.m. Eastern New York time have our New Year's celebration. Praise Yah. So we thank everybody for being on with us. Thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you again. And we appreciate your presence so much. Excited about today, the word for today, continuing in our series, removing the leaven from our home. And this evening is powerful for us, right? The new moon, which will be out tonight. Nope, it wasn't a new moon last night. It's a new moon tonight. In this new moon, when it starts for us, we will be doing our first day of the year. Passover will be on the 22nd. As a reminder to those who are going to be in Florida, we would love to see you guys. April 20th through the 22nd, that weekend we'll be there. And of course, that 22nd is a Monday, that's Passover. So we'll be in Beverly Hills, Florida. We do have address and all that stuff. We've been trying to reach out via text, email, phone call to everybody in Florida. So if you're planning on being there either the weekend of the 20th through the 22nd or the weekend of the 27th, which will be in Tampa. So 20 through the 22nd, April 20 through the 22nd, we will be in Beverly Hills, Florida. The 27th, we will be in Tampa. And hopefully as many of you that would like to come out and visit and say hello and spend some time, and maybe, who knows, even someday in between there, depending on what our schedule's looking like, we'll be able to say hello to you and chill out and all that great stuff. But we'll have our stuff on Zoom for the 22nd, of course, for Passover itself. The evenings of the 20th and the 21st, we'll be having our 7 last words going on those nights anyway. So we'll see you guys hopefully then. And then, of course, on the 27th, whatever we do, we'll make sure that that's going to be something that you can follow and be a part of on Zoom. And praise y'all for you guys. But tonight, and I will reach out. I still got to reach out to our members of the Holy Day Committee, since we couldn't get it together on Friday. But pretty much nothing's really changed for you guys. But I will make sure that we reach out. But hopefully we'll see you guys this evening. So we'll have our live session right now. We'll have our live session at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. We always have. And then in the evening after that, at 11 p.m. Eastern New York time, we hope to see you guys on our Zoom session, where we celebrate our new year, year 5785, 5785. If you go by number, I guess you could even go, well, we could do the really, really long number, where we could do Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Let's see, we could say Tav, Tav, Kof, Tav, Kof, Ayin, Vav. Tav, Kof, Ayin, Vav. For those of you who know that, that would be 400 plus 100 plus 70 plus 5, right? Which you get us, or actually, well, no, that's not even correct. We'd actually have to go to the thousands, which we haven't really learned yet. So, okay, we'll make it simple. Let's just go 5785. You ready? We'll just go Che, Zion, Chit, Che, Zion, Chit, Che. Is that all right? We'll just make it simple for right now. Praise y'all. We thank you for being with us. We've made it yet another year, and even the new for us. So in this time, in this season, if this is new for you, this is year 5785. This is year Che, Zion, Chet, Che. This is year 5785, starting this evening with the new moon. And we're excited. Hopefully you guys had a great time with you, or those of you who saw the eclipse. I'm praise Yah. We weren't initially going to get the glasses. We didn't think we were going to be able to get the glasses. If we did not have the glasses, we would have, where we were in North America, we would not have seen the eclipse at all. So we praise God. It would have kind of sort of, we would have seen it maybe for a few minutes in totality, but we praise God for technology that we could actually see it. Hopefully you guys who went to see the eclipse, you saw it. It was extremely bright, so hopefully you weren't trying to look up at it. But yeah, we had a pretty great time, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. For those of you who were looking out, I know a lot of us went to see it. We decided last minute to see it, and all the places just about that said that they were going to have it didn't have it, so we had to ride around for a little bit. But we praise y'all, we were able to find it. So hopefully you guys had a great time. Hopefully people are starting to get their calendars. The last group of orders that we had for the calendar, hopefully people starting to get those. If they haven't already, prayerfully, we already got the Passover package stuff together. At some point, I will try to read off names just to make sure. We can't take any more orders, but I'll try to make sure I read off names at some point to make sure that people are actually, maybe I'll do this evening, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that this evening. Maybe I'll even do it for the session during our New Year celebration. But we'll make sure that we talk those things through and make sure everybody has those. But we got a list. We made an order officially already, so we're waiting on it to show up on April 15th, when we'll prayerfully be down south by then. And once it shows up, then we'll start sending out everything and putting everything together so that everybody should have everything sent to them by the 18th. Recall, on April 18th, which is 4 days before Passover, April 22nd, that's when we're supposed to have our lamb. So even if you're buying your lamb, or you're getting your own bitter herbs, or you're getting your own matzah bread, wine, juice, if you're doing vegan meals, whatever the case is, whatever you're going to be using, this lamb is supposed to be picked out 4 days prior. Okay, so the lamb is supposed to be picked out 4 days prior. So hopefully everybody has that together. But we're getting closer to Passover, and we thank you guys for being obedient and learning and growing with us in this time frame. Once again, we thank y'all for everybody for being on. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Since it looks like we have both of our two of the Holy Day committee members on, really like 3-4 of us on, but 2 of us on in particular that I need to get the message out to in this manner, I will try my best. We don't have to do a Zoom or anything, but I'll try my best to just contact you guys individually. Like I said, nothing's really changed as far as tonight, but we'll just have a quick conversation, make sure we're all on the same page, and make sure we all know what we're going to do today. All righty? All right, cool. We're going to get ready to go into our Bibles, and I apologize for last night. It is what it is. I tried to get on, was having issues with even trying to get the signal going and stuff. So it is what it is. But if you want to go ahead, turn in your Bibles with me real quick. We're going to go to Hebrews chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 35 and 36. If you want to go ahead and turn there, Hebrews chapter 10, verses 35 and 36. Minister Anais actually was preaching in the same area of word, and went into by faith and talking about things by faith and talking about that algorithm and all those different things that she was talking about. We're going to kind of continue in that vein. I love it when the word of Yah goes together. Right? People would be thinking, Pastor, don't be paying attention. I'll be paying attention and studying what these great preachers put out here. So we're going to Hebrews chapter 10, verse 35 and 36. Once you have it, say amen, say amen, say I got it, say I'm with you. If you're listening, just say I'm listening in, etc. Right? We appreciate you guys being on. While you guys are doing that, let's say hello, everybody, real quick. Hello, everybody on the podcast, everybody coming on later on Facebook. If you're with us on YouTube, if you're with us on TikTok, we appreciate your presence. How you doing, Sister Renee, Minister Anais, Minister Shante, Minister Tamara, Aaron, Sister Joy. I feel like I left somebody out in that Cultural Prospect. King D252. Sister Nadine, praise y'all for what y'all is doing in your life with the newness. How you doing, Keith? How you doing, Sister Tanisha, Jonah Key, Natural Sweetness? Oh, by the way, I'm going to send you some more information, Sister Jonah Key, Sister Judith, but the what I have right now is like 15 to 20. So basically what we have set up, that's what I have. We're still putting out word we're not getting too much response as far as what's just going to be concrete. So we'll be prepared for that. If more happen to come or whatever, I'll be prepared to make sure that we can do stuff last minute or have some stuff with us if we need to have more than what we discussed. But everything that we talked about should be fine. I'm going to try and call you. I'm gonna see maybe if I can call you today. Add that in there as well. But thank you guys for being on. How you doing, Darius? How you doing, Geza? How you doing, Raymond? Thanks for being part of the community. Sister Akita. Also too, people said they were interested in the soaps that Sister Akita has. Nobody contacted me. So if somebody wants the soaps, I'm supposed to get my sister these orders that everybody said they want as far as her soaps, things like that she makes from scratch for you guys. So, or makes from scratch and she's going to give to the community. And we're trying to do the hashtag SOC thing and blow everybody up and all that stuff. So, hey, if you're still interested, make sure you get me that information. I will make sure that I send you her information, and we'll make sure that we get that to you. All right. Or even if you just contact her, ask her questions, you know what, even if you want to just go ahead and lift her up and say, I'm proud of you for starting a business, Zeus, let's do something. All right. Amen. But I haven't gotten anything to Sister Akita yet because people were telling me they were interested and then I didn't receive any word. If I did receive word that I missed it, that's on me. And I'm asking again, if you don't mind, I get a lot of messages, a lot of emails, a lot of stuff from all over the world every day. So just help me out in that if you can. All right. But how's everybody doing? How you doing, Emmanuel? Sister Sheila, Sister Bree, you watched it from the house. Cool. How you doing, Sister Melissa, Lottie Dottie, and everybody? We appreciate you. And once again, look out for the Google Calendar invite or some kind of text. Or if you don't get information from us, I say even earlier in the day, right? We have until 11 p.m. Eastern New York time. That's 10 a.m. Central. That's 11 p.m. Eastern New York time. That's 10 p.m. Central. That's going to be 9 p.m. Mountain time. That's going to be 8 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. Those who are across the pond, I will try to see if I can do something special just for you all and send something out to you guys. But because I know some of you are way ahead on time, Australia, England, or the UK, and even Africa. So we'll try to send something to you guys specific just to let you guys know and do something for you and give a quick word and, celebrate even on your own time zone. Okay. How you doing, Elwin? You're going to need some coffee. Yep. How you doing, Sister Nadine? I think I said earlier to you, hello, how you doing, JP? Everybody, if I miss your name, charge it to my head, not to my heart on any of these platforms. Once again, thanks for being on the podcast. Later on from Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on TikTok, we appreciate you so very much. How you doing, Jason Bailey? Everybody. All right. So once again, we're going to Hebrews chapter 10, verse 35. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 35. How you doing, Sister Monica? Be safe in your travels. How you doing, Sister Etherin? How you doing, Sean? Sister Etherin, if you don't mind, once again, if you're able to text, or even I guess if you have to call, maybe after the live session, of course, because I can't pick up the phone now. But if you have to reach out to us, I know I was supposed to get you some information, and I could send you a little bit of it, but I know there was more than what I have in my recall, in my memory. So if you can bring it back to my remembrance, some of those things, so I can send it to you, I greatly appreciate it. You need that, Bruder, the link? Okay, cool. And by the way, I think I need to just get your email, period, because for some reason, I don't know if I have you in the email chain. So we need to get you to get together with that, Bruder. I apologize. I think because I got your info and I be texting back and forth with you a lot, I think I just automatically assume, and maybe I shouldn't be. You said, could you go back to meetings? I don't know what the meetings are. What are the meetings? How you doing, Sister Helen? How you doing, Shabbos? And just everybody. If I miss your name or any of the platforms, charge it to my head, not to my heart. All right. We're going to go ahead and go to we're going to go to Hebrews chapter 10, verses 35 and 36. Once you have it, say Amen, say I got it, say I'm listening, say I'm with you. We'll get ready to do our Bible pledge, and let's go ahead and dive right in. And thank you guys for your continued prayer with the housing situation and everything. Things are tight, but they look like they're getting there. So it might be a photo finish, but we're praising Yah that the race is not given to the swift, but it's given to those who endure. Once again, we're going to Hebrews chapter 10, verses 35 and 36. Once you have it, say Amen, say I got it, say I'm with you. Hola, mi hermana, ¿cómo está? Tadali Chashtal, how you doing? Is it Skigi, historian? All righty, here we go. So we're going to get ready to go. All righty, let's say our Bible pledge real quick, and then we'll get started. You can just repeat after me. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahushua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yehovah, Aman, in Yehovah's name, Amen. Alrighty. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 35 and 36. They read as follow, or these verses read as follows. Cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of Elohim, ye might receive the promise. I'm going to say that again, just once again, starting in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 35. We'll read 35 and 36. They read as follow. How you doing, Brother Dwayne? It reads as follows. It says, cast not away, therefore, your what? Your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward, which means you have recoup a reward. Verse 36 says, for ye, all of you listening, have need of what? Patience, that after have ye done the will of Elohim, ye might receive the promise. We've just read Hebrews chapter 10, verse 35 and 36. May Yahweh have a blessing to the readers, hearers, and especially the doers of his most holy word. Today in this series called Removing the Leaven from Our Home, we've been doing this series since since March 13th. And that's a 40-day period where we removed the leaven representing sin. In this series, we've been talking about things that we were removed from our family, from our home, from our nation, from our walk, to ensure that we are in righteousness and in right lawful standing. That being said, we also comprehend that we are doing things to what? How you doing, Brother Ali? That being said, we are also doing things for what? We are also doing things to ensure that we stop missing the mark. And so today, in this series, we're going to be talking about something very specific, something we need to do. Today, we're going to put in the 11 box. Today, we're going to leave alone. Today, we're going to stop putting me last. Not just Kofi, but ye, all of you, all of us who are listening. We are going to stop with this wicked habit of always putting yourself last. Now, somebody says, well, wait a minute. The last will be first, and the first will be last. But so in our culture, putting me first doesn't mean I got to be better than you, or I got to tell you off, or you got to always look up to me and I always look down upon you. But I've got to put myself in a position to where at some point I can become first. If I'm not being taken care of, how am I going to take care of you? Real talk, right? If I am not well, if I don't have great mental health, how do I help you with mental health? Right? And once again, this comes from this thing that we talked about not too long ago in this series, false humility. We think that humility means being last in everything, being put down. Yeah, it's painful already. I hear you, right? But I can't keep putting me last. I cannot keep putting my family last. I cannot keep putting my financial situation last and expect that the kingdom is going to grow. And even if I lift somebody else up, I'm lifting somebody else up. Watch this, looking for what we just heard was a recompense of reward. I should be looking for something that sows. If I sow into the kingdom sows into me. That's how a real kingdom is established. That's how a real commonwealth actually works. It's called commonwealth because supposedly, how you doing, Sister Deborah? It's called a commonwealth because supposedly the wealth is common. Come on, somebody, right? This is the reality that we must start to get back to, is that I must stop putting myself last. How you doing, Nikki Style? Thanks for being on, right? I must stop putting me last. I must put myself in a position to where it's all right. Now, watch this. Even in not putting me last doesn't mean I'm trying to put myself first. But I must stop putting me last. The context which we're talking about today is that a lot of you have not grown because you thought that your self-growth is not necessary. Right? In church, they didn't teach you about growing yourself. No offense, no shade, right? I'm just saying that's the culture that comes with it. It wasn't about growing you. It was about making sure that you always had something that was bigger than you, which is great unless we lose the dynamic that no society is greater than an individual and that no individual is ever greater than the society. So if the individuals are always putting themselves last, then the society will always put itself last. there's ebbs and flows. Right? Come on, somebody. Is that correct? There's ebbs and flows to this thing. Don't get it twisted. With all these people trying to tell you, no, do this and put yourself there. No, no, no. Like this, it's all right every once in a while that I have a dream and I have a vision and I have a focus and I have a mission and that I should be fed as well. Every once in a while, you might see me have to disappear, right? SOC members might disappear for a couple of months or whatever. If it's because you need to get some things together, get yourself together. I'm not chasing after you, not because I don't have any love for you. I don't care what happens to you. I'm not chasing after you looking over your shoulder, because get you first, get you right. Learn how to love yourself and honor yourself. Yes, even love yourself and honor yourself. We're so busy trying to do this whole thing of false humility and this fake piety that means that I'm supposed to be a doormat. And that's not biblical at all. Nowhere in the Bible does it discuss that you are absolutely nothing. Now, even if there's scriptures that can be equated to, well, I am nothing without Yah, cool. But Yah is what? In here. I'm on, right? Right? Get Yah in here, the kingdom in here, Yahashrai in here, Ravak HaKodash in here. And if I carry the kingdom, my value is automatically through the roof. I am what is called appreciated. See, appreciating something is saying I'm looking for the value in it. Right? We use these terms and we don't recognize what it is. If I tell somebody I appreciate you, what I mean is I see the value in you. Right? If somebody goes to a pawn shop and you take your ring and you pawn your ring, somebody's supposed to take out something to look at the value of it. And as they look at the value of it, they say, oh, okay, the value is this. While they're doing it, they're appreciating it. Come on, somebody. Why is it that we don't appreciate self? When is the last time that you put yourself on display, even if it comes to what we might call accountability? When is the last time that you looked at yourself and said, I want to appreciate? See, a lot of people aren't accountable, not just because they're bad people. A lot of people aren't accountable because you have to stop and appreciate yourself in order to have accountability, to account for, to count up what you are and who you are. How do you know if you're a great wife if you've never taken time out to see if you become one? Not by the world standards, not because you just got a ring on your finger, but because you're not right, not because you're sleeping with somebody, not because they call you wifey, which, by the way, wifey is talking about a pimp thing. Wifey is pimp language. See, we don't even recognize it, but people just say this stuff and we be like, oh, and it's so beautiful. He made the song. He called me wifey. Yeah, he talking about a pimp whole relationship. And if you the best wife, then you the bottom. You see, right? But we have no appreciation. We have not taken time out to, what is it? When they say that word, what does that mean about me? Even when I say be careful about the word queen, I get it, because we had nothing and we looked at other cultures and they said they had queen, but queen means whore, which is why I will say Ayazar, right? Which is why I will call you Aishach, right? I'll even call you woman if you want, but I'm not fitting to call you that, but so much. Why? Because I recognize what it actually means. I really shouldn't call you that at all. But once again, we don't look at where terms come from. And every word that proceeded out of your mouth should be known. Every single one. How you doing, Bold Southern Classic? How you doing, Brother Vincent? How you doing, Anthony? How you doing, Wavy Davy, Russ, Brooklyn's own? I feel like I missed somebody else. Sahara. Excuse me. Yeah, we're gonna go in. We're gonna go in deep. And trigger warning early. Let me just go ahead and say trigger warning, because there's gonna be some stuff stirred up in you. But Paul said that when he was sent to talk to Timotheus and sent to read a letter to others, that he might stir up the gift. And so I might have to stir something up, but I promise you, I've only been sent to stir up the gift. I've come here to recognize and appreciate you and try to tell you that you are much appreciated, and it should start with self-appreciation. Matter of fact, it didn't even start with self-appreciation because you never knew the value that you carried. It really started with Yah's appreciation, who knew you before the foundation of the world. How you doing, Big Roy? He appreciated you. He saw the value in you. Yahushua was sent because he saw the value in you. The Ravak HaKodash has been speaking to you even when you thought it was just a voice, just some weird voice that you heard, because she appreciates you. And then when we realize who we really were, the value that we really carry, now we can start to appreciate ourselves. And many people cannot be held accountable if you don't appreciate yourself. How can you count out who you are and you've never taken time out to appreciate? You've never taken time out to set aside a space, to set aside an environment, to set aside time to where this is about building me up, right? That old song. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. We'll put a appreciation or appreciate in there. Sometimes you have to appreciate yourself. Sometimes you're going to have to take time out to look at where you are and believe in who you are. Now, I believe in who I am because part of who I am is in a symbiotic relationship with the Most High. And as long as He's there, then it's not my righteousness that I'm appreciating, but it's the right lawful standing of the one who created me, who molded me, who created law to protect me, and therefore allows me to have a right to love me. You have to get into this position where you recognize that you must learn how to appreciate you. And we haven't been given opportunities to appreciate, right? But you're going to have to, today we're putting in that Leaven box, putting you last. You've been putting yourself last so long that you don't know how long you'll last. Hallelujah, somebody. How you doing, Prince? Some of us have been putting ourselves last so long, we don't know how long we'll last. Our endurance level is down because we've never fed ourselves. We've been so busy that everybody gets fed. Look, I've been the parent who's had to go hungry and let their children eat. Praise Yah that I had a mind for that, and that my children could eat, and that they were able to do what they need to do. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? Praise Yah for those things. Let's not forget, though, that also, too, there were days that I had to learn that if I don't feed myself, I'll be too weak to make a meal for them. If I don't feed myself, I won't feel well enough to make sure that they can eat. If I don't make sure that I do my own laundry, I'm doing their laundry, even if I got to mix it in the tub and clean the tub down and wipe it down so that they're not getting, dirty clothes stuff on the bottom of their feet when they get in the shower, but I'm not washing my own clothes. Something doesn't make sense. I can't be walking around smelling like I'm jacked up and be their representation. I've still got to go to college and school myself and get whatever classes I can get in for myself after I drop them off. How you doing, Islam? Right? I'm on, Minister Tamara. Yeah, we all need to hear this today. Let's be honest about the fact that many of us are having problems with accountability, even a simple accountability, because we have not taken time out of putting ourselves last. Today, I would like you to go ahead and put into the trash bin, to put into the Leaven box, to put into this, to separate yourself from a mentality that says that the best way to be humble is to be a doormat. Is the best way for my business to run is to never talk about it. How you got all this social media and you don't promote your business? How you have all these friends and part of being your friend is not promoting what you do? You've been invited to every potluck. You've been invited to every cookout. You've been invited to every party, right? But nobody puts your stuff up at all these things. But they say, come out to mine and come out to this and come out to that and come out to this. At some point, if you love me, you'll promote me too. This is not, once again, just me as an individual. This is us, all of us listening. You need to think about yourself. If you really say you love your friend, then why are you not promoting what your friend does? I'm not talking about what even brothers and sisters are, because we want friends to sit closer than a brother or a sister. Do you hear what I'm saying? How you doing, Sister Bree? Are you catching this rising? You need to ensure that you are sowing into yourself, and that it's all right for you to not only request, but even demand at times that somebody would sow into you as well. Because if they really loved you, they would sow into you, right? We got it for everybody else, right? Everybody else gets your time. Everybody else gets your visit. Everybody else gets when you come to the this and that, come to this, come to the fish fry, come to all this stuff. But what about your business? What about what's going on with you? This is just a reality. If we're family, if I'm family and I sit at the table and I say, everybody listen to what's going on with me, and I never ask you, how was your day? I never ask you, what is it? Matter of fact, I never ask you, do you even like to eat what we're eating? I bring you to the fanciest restaurant, and then I put a big pork meal in front of you, knowing that you don't eat swine. You can say that that's love, and then this is what we do. We hang out with people that do this. The person who brought you, man, you couldn't afford to eat this even if you want, man. Why don't you just eat this, blah, blah. So now it's peer pressure and it's guilt and it's gaslighting, saying that because I won't eat something that, right, and you know I don't eat it, but because this is what you do and because you supposedly lifted me up, but that doesn't lift me up. That lifts you up. That makes you feel great about what you did. What does that have to do with me? How does that encourage me? How does that bless my life and my wife and my child and my soul and my spirit? How does that help my business? Like, I'm not saying it's always got to be about me, but you can't be in relationship with somebody and it's never about you. As somebody who's a life coach, how you doing, Sister Betty? As somebody who's a life coach, I can tell you this straight up. I've done life coaching where I'll contact people and legit, all they do is, I'll say for 95% of it, they're busy telling all the stuff, telling me this stuff, and I don't mind being taught, right? But I'll be sitting there listening, and after a while, I'm like, do they really want any life coaching, or are they just telling me how awesome they are? And I can see now, I go, oh, no wonder they're having a problem with this. No wonder they have a problem. They don't even see the necessity of making sure that somebody else is lifted up. And sometimes I've had to tell people, I don't know if I'm the life coach for you. Well, why it is? Well, to be honest with you, it doesn't seem like you want a life coach. It seems like you might need maybe somebody to talk to. Like, maybe I can do that. Or maybe you might need to have somebody to where you can teach. You might want to be the life coach. But it doesn't seem like you really want a life coach. It seems like you just want somebody to lift you up, which is okay. But that's why what? Stop putting yourself last. Because some people do that because they're always put last, so they finally get an opportunity. I've told this to preachers. Usually when they go through training, I'll tell them be careful, because there's a lot of preachers. Like if you've ever seen a lot of the way a lot of stuff works with the ministers on staff and stuff, usually is that they don't get opportunities to speak. Maybe once a year, maybe once every other year, maybe for years they don't speak. They just have the title minister. Then they're finally given a chance to preach, and they go really long, and they have all this stuff, and they go outside of what the assignment is and all this. And people from the outside are going, "How does that happen?" But if you pay attention and you're on the inside, you recognize, oh, they never get a chance to speak. So they finally been given something that they're gonna give you years and years and years, but you were put in a place where you're supposed to be last. You ain't supposed to say nothing. You're not supposed to use this gift. Give you the title of minister, but we don't give you any training or we don't give you any opportunity. And so now it's time for your opportunity, and you all over the place because nobody cared about you enough to appreciate you, to value you, and to put you in a situation where you could be lifted up. You said when people do the 7 last words for Easter or so, yeah. Even though, 7 last words not necessarily for Easter, but you know, that's what it's become, I guess, for a lot of people. But and all these things that are going on, you have to recognize, yeah, that people go out of control. They're not given opportunity to be their best. And so finally, when somebody says, "Go ahead, it's yours," they don't know how to handle themselves because they put themselves last so long that they don't know what it is to operate in kingdom and to be royalty and to be first and to be regal and to just simply be an extension of themselves and to come off as polished. They don't know how to do it because they were put last in the muck for so long. They were treated like the pigs for so long. Right? They were treated like the pigs for so long that they thought that coming to themselves meant that they would be pigs. See, and this is why establishing self-worth, self-accountability, self-love, self-hygiene, if you will, is so incredibly important. Because if I've never seen the Father's house, then when I come to myself, if all I've seen is the pig pen, then I'll think that the pig pen is just living better than the pigs. Right? Amen, Sister Monica. Yeah, like this is real talk. If all I've seen my whole life is the pig pen, then I'll think that the pig pen is it. If I get more out of the trough, if I get more slop out of the trough than the other pigs do, if I grow fatter than the other pigs, then I must be great because hey, I'm better than the other pigs are. But if I was raised in my Father's house, you see, my self-value is not worthy of pick. So when I finally reached to the level of swine, which is about the lowest I can get, it don't get too much lower than that. If I was raised in my father's house, in my father's family, with my father's values, and I come to myself because myself, what has been established of me, is not based off of the pig, but it is based off of my father. Come on, somebody. Come on, talk back to me today. Don't leave me hanging today. Don't act like you aren't going through this today, right? And some people will avoid this conversation. I know, once again, this trigger warning, because to deal with this, you got to deal with yourself. Hallelujah, somebody. You're gonna have to deal with, what house was I raised in? Was I raised in the pig pen? And I'm sitting up here acting like the pit. Look, was I raised in the street to where this corner is as great as it gets? Was I raised in the street to where I was selling them singles? So as long as I look fresh to death on the street, but I can look fresher than everybody who's around me going to a 6-figure job, but I can't go to the same restaurant to eat that they do. But I'm a hustler. A hustler of what? You hear what I'm saying? But I'm a hustler though. But don't nobody on the corner like I do. Ain't nobody on the block like I am. I told you, it's very interesting when I go back to places I've been raised, and I'll see friends that are still on the corner. See friends that are nodding. See friends that are in the graveyard, and you see them in life, and they're still in the same situation, still on the same block, still speaking the same nonsense or whatever. And you go to them and you say, "Hey, man, it's great to see you. Yo, you want to go out to eat?" "Man, I can't afford going out to eat." "Oh, man, okay, cool. Well, no problem. Got you. Well, what about this? Let's go ahead and get your family." "Oh, man, shoot, this. I got babies and stuff, but they don't even talk to me." And that be that say, my baby mama, that be, she be acting black, and it's like, you've been in the same position, right? And you thought that was going to be it. That was the end all be all. And now I'm seeing you're in the same position. You haven't moved. I've seen people that haven't grown since high school, not even being bad. It's just they're in the same position. Their parents raised them to be little dolls and stuff to be played with. And so now they got into a certain age and they're still just doing little doll stuff because they were never given the right to stop being in the pig pen. They weren't raised in our father's house. They were raised in a really slimy and disgusting and sloppy situation. And so now they just think that if they maintain it. And truth be told, I got to do what I'm called to do. Peel your church face off today. Peel your camp face off today. We're just going to talk. All right. Look, I got to do what I'm sent to do. Even this camp stuff and church stuff that a lot of us come from is slop. That's why it was so difficult for a lot of times. People were trying to cast pearls before you and you couldn't even handle it. Let's be honest. You said, "Is there a clean pig pen?" That's right. If you clean a pig pen, what does clean pig pen mean? It means basically there's no poop and maybe there's no food all over the place, but there's no clean pig pen. We were fed spiritual slop over and over and over again, and now we're trying to say that we're great, but we still have that church residue. We still got that camp residue. This is why somebody can come into the knowledge of Yah and still be a womanizer and try to use Yah's word to say it's all right to womanize, because you have no self-value, because you were put last so much. You've never even seen what you first looks like. How you doing, Traverse? Some of us were put last so much we don't even know what being put first looks like. Not just first as far as up, everybody go ahead and say Kofi's all that. There's an first as far as what does Yah's first for you look like? There's interesting, so our verses that we use were Hebrews chapter 10, verses 35 and 36. In verse 36, it says something very powerful to start. It says, watch this, for ye have need of patience. For you have need of what? Of patience. This is very interesting because, watch this. Let's go to Romans chapter 5. This was a scripture we used quite a bit in our first series of the year. Let's go to Romans chapter 5 real quick. Show you how important this patience is, because you're going to have to be patient, learning your own value. You're going to have to take time out, patience, and learning your own value. And others around you, if they really love you and if they really want to see you be at your best, they should be patient with you as well. Somebody needs to say, "I'm under construction. I went a little churchy there, but it is what it is. Somebody needs to say out loud to themselves or say to somebody else, or turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I am under construction. Praise God. All right. But you might need to say it out loud that you're under construction. And it's going to take patience. No house has been built in a day. Romans chapter 5. We're going to start at verse 1. Watch this. How you doing, Sister Donna? Watch this. Praise God for those who are saying it in the chat, right? Watch this. I see you. Watch this. Verse 5. Therefore, being justified by faith. All right. When we got faith without works is nothing. So if I got faith, then what are the works that are going to come that are going to be manifest from this faith, and they're going to go hand in hand to prove my faith? Watch this. Right. How you doing? Patience is a virtue. Yeah. Amen. Somebody came on. Is it Amaya? Amayach. Thank you for being part of the community. Appreciate you. All right. Here we go. So therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with Elohim through Yahashua HaMashiach Adon. Verse 2, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace. Remember, grace means kadosh. Grace means who the Most High is, or in this case, who Yahashua HaMashiach is, our Lord. Yahashua is, or Yeshua, Yahushua, Yahabashai, whichever dialect you choose. All right. By whom we also have faith into this kadosh, or who Yahashua is, wherein we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory, or the heaviness, or the weight, or the imprint. Rejoice in that heaviness, that weight that's upon us, the glory, that sign that something is on us, right, of Elohim. Verse 3, and not only so, but watch this. What do we glory in? This is in you finding out who you are. This is also talking about the law of the Spirit, right? Being perfected by the law, right? Not the uncircumcised heart, but the circumcised heart. Not the fleshly law, but the spiritual law. Right? Meaning that a lot of us are going by the law based off of fleshly ideas rather than letting the law that was always spiritual stand spiritually. All right. So first thing we're going to do is what? Verse 3. And not only so, but we glory, the heaviness, the imprint, the weight on us, the imprint, something's happened, the glory in tribulations also. And when we glory in the tribulation, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. I've got to have patience. The tribulations that I'm going through, some of the tribulations are not only because the devil is all over you, or that demons are all over you, or that your everybody's always a bad person. Sometimes these tribulations, matter of fact, not sometimes, for all things work together. We'll see that later in Romans chapter 8. So therefore, all things that are tribulation, the latter days shall be greater than the former days. All things that are tribulation, right? They are doing what? They are giving us more patience. Not only that, it says the tribulation worketh patience. That means the tribulation works. Oh. That means tribulation works. Right? We talk about generation this and generation that, and this generation doesn't. The reason why we feel certain ways is because guess what? We never made sure. See, a lot of you kept your children away from what? From tribulation. And so your child never learned how to work. Your child never learned how to work the gift. Your child never learned the works of Yahweh. Your child was shielded from work because your child has been shielded from tribulation. You don't want your child to see bad things. Like, once again, I shelter my child. I have no problem sheltering my child. I shelter my spiritual children. I have no problem sheltering, but I don't shelter at the cost of tribulation. They should have some kind of work, some kind of tribulation they have to go through that causes them to be able to realize that there's something greater, and that they'll appreciate, here we go, what they've been through. And if they are the ones, the vessel that's been through it, then that means they'll appreciate the vessel. If the vessel made it through, then they'll appreciate the journey of the vessel, and they'll appreciate the vessel that kept on feeding them through the tribulation. They'll also appreciate what's in the vessel, the kingdom of heaven. Come on. Not only how can they be overcomers, praise God, how can they become more than overcomers? See, when they realize they're overcomers, that's one thing. I'm with you. But let's take it to another level. When they become more than an overcomer, then I appreciate myself even the more. And I appreciate who's in me even the more. And I appreciate the community that's with me even the more. And I appreciate that I was able to make it through. And if I can make it through those things in my tribulation, which is working through this stuff, then I'll have patience and I'll develop more patience next time. How you doing, Sister Kimberly? Right? If I made it through that and I was so impatient, as a child, right? We're supposed to come into the Most High as little children, anyways. Let's talk to each other. Let's talk to you. Let me talk to you, children, right? I'm not saying that I'm all that. I'm just saying we spiritual children of the Most High, right? Let me help you to recall something. Let me bring something back to your remembrance, as the Holy Spirit will want us to, right? This is when your child is asked to share for the first time. Are they patient? Matter of fact, they don't want to share. It's not because they're bad. It's not because it's because their whole life has been about selfishness. And thank y'all for sharing. Thank you for the likes, shares, subscriptions, follows, all that great stuff. If you hit the notification tab, we appreciate you on all the platforms. Thanks for being on the podcast. Thanks for being on YouTube. Thanks for being on TikTok. Right? Your child has been selfish. Now, somebody says, no, my child's not selfish. Babies are so precious. Babies are little angels. Your child, your baby has been selfish his whole life up until you start to teach it that it's not supposed to be selfish. That's not true at all. Let me prove it to you. Your baby, from semen to egg, and then from that point on, I know you don't want to hear this term because it's not my baby and not me and not who I am. Look, I'm not saying I don't believe in the evolutionary principle. I don't believe that they're just a fetus and they're not alive and they're not a human being. I want you to hear me before you get into a place. He done lost his mind and he talking about, listen, your baby was very selfish. It had to be, because that's the only way that they could be created. Right? Your baby didn't ask to be here, sure. People say that they didn't ask to be here, but once they got here, mom became nothing more than a vessel to be used. This is why morning sickness happens. Correct, sisters? Why does a sister get morning sickness? First of all, a sister shouldn't get morning sickness. She gets morning sickness because she hasn't already made sure she has vital minerals. That's why you have prenatal vitamins, and they are prenatal. You're supposed to be eating correctly and have extra. This is why, sisters, you have a little extra girth. You have a little extra wider hips. You have the ability to stretch extra. You have the ability to have stretch marks and still be, considered to be by the people that are following you attractive and all those things, right? Because you were designed to have extra. That's why some men even have this fantasy of women who have extra, and then women who are pregnant or a little overweight, they can't stand themselves, and they're like, why are men hitting on me? Because there's a lot of men that realize even when you're pregnant, men, it's disgusting, especially if you're married, but it's disgusting. I get it, but the men will hit on you and you'll say, why are men attracted to me? Your spouse thinks you're the most beautiful person on the planet. And you're like, how is this happening? Because he knows that you are going to do something extra. You multiply. You take the seed of the man, and at the same time, you multiply it. And inside the multiplication, so you get sick because you don't have the extra. You're supposed to have extra vitamins, extra minerals, extra taken care of. Before, if you say you're going to have a baby, you're supposed to already start taking those vitamins. You get sick because you haven't taken the vitamin. Why? Because as soon as the baby comes into existence, you get sick because the baby's taking. Period. That's what they're there to do, right? Their whole responsibility at that point is to go from sperm and egg to human being. That's it. They have no other responsibility outside of taking sperm and egg and making a human being. Can there be some oxytocin stuff that happens in there? For sure. But being honest, let's just be honest, that baby is supposed to be selfish, supposed to be self-centered even. So selfishness is not always a bad thing at times, but they're supposed to be completely self-centered. They're not supposed to worry about stuff. That's why moms will lose their teeth. They will lose their hair. Their nails will become brittle. They'll have issues with their bones they've never had. They'll all of a sudden have diabetes, right? Gestational diabetes, and will never have it again, never had it before, right? I'm trying to stay away from that word, but for real, yeah, like a parasite, right? And by the way, your body has to send signals, sisters. Your body has to tell, right, has to tell the rest of your body, your brain, and your body. Basically, the egg has to send signals up to the brain, and the brain then has to send signals to the rest of the body. It says, hey, we have something that normally you would attack because we have a foreign object in here, right? We have a foreign object. We have a parasite, even if you will. And normally white blood cells and everything's going to come together to make sure you wipe it out and eradicate it. However, this needs to live, and the body chills out. So that's something that's going to take from it and never really give back. Right? It equals clampsia too. Okay. I need to look up that term. You had that yourself? Yeah. People will get things. You'll have gestational issues that you never had. Matter of fact, there's some people, like in reverse, Elder Alma, when she had Solomon, she's somebody who's allergic to dairy. But during the time she had Solomon, all of a sudden she could eat dairy. You know why? Because Solomon said, I don't care what you dealing with. He said, I need dairy. He said, I don't care what you do. And he doesn't even necessarily need dairy, but he needs something that dairy brings. So he was like, I don't know what you messing with, but you missing something that I usually get. So he was like, I know all this stuff, whatever. I know you an adult. I know you don't do, I know you're allergic. He was like, I don't care. I need it. And so guess what she could do? She could have dairy during that time. Because whatever he was getting from the dairy, he was saying, I need this. Because she's not getting it right now. But I can't deal with that. I eat, because watch this. This is what works. The baby, you eat the food. The baby eats you. I'm trying to help somebody. Stay with me now. Right? How you doing, Shauna? Just stay with me for a little bit. How you doing, Catherine? Right? You eat the food. I'm sorry, what'd you say? That's the only thing you could drink milk and you're lactose intolerant too. Yeah. Yeah. It's not only she intolerant, lactose intolerant could be crazy too, but she's allergic. Like, pull over to the side of the road if we didn't realize something's in there and she got to throw up type thing. Right? Like it's correct. Like, while we were still getting ourselves together and getting closer to where it was time for us to be able to finally, be married, not just, as far as our culture, like being betrothed, but also actually literally like two becoming one as we were getting closer to that point. Um, you know, that was something where I found out how bad an allergy. I didn't know the difference between a milk allergy, as a lot of people don't. I didn't know the difference between intolerance to where, okay, you get gassy and we laugh at you, versus like, oh, like this person could die. You know what I'm saying? Like this person could die, like peanut allergies. Like got a cousin in our family, and people are like, oh, you invited so and so over. Oh, can he smell? Like, is there a peanut smell? Do you even have a fake peanut smell? But it smells like peanut, because that'll make him sick. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll swell up on you, and you got to run him out and stab him up with the pen and everything on the way out. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, on that level, right? So, so, but she all of a sudden during that process, because why? Because the baby said, I don't care what you going through. This is what I need, right? Yeah, with the EpiPen, excuse me, for educational purposes only. I didn't mean stab up literally, right? but but this what's going on. The baby is extremely selfish. Takes nutrients out. If you're not eating nutrients, if you don't have yourself together, it will take your hair. If you don't have your nutrients together, it will take your teeth. If you don't have your nutrients together, it'll start having your organs shut down. But that baby says, I don't care what's necessary. I don't even care if the vessel will die. Right? The baby's not concerned about that. That's not the baby's concern. I don't care if dad and mom gonna be in arguments. I don't care. I'm trying to deal with stuff. So if your hormones are not correct, I'm gonna mess with them too. That's it don't have time. Right? The baby does not have time. The baby, he or she is not on that time. And the baby is, I need to do everything as possible for me to be able to go from sperm and egg, and in 9 months have a successful gestational period that I can be born. And therefore I will still keep eating off mom, by the way. I didn't stop. And now I'm going to actually have a digestive system. So now I'm going to cry when I'm learning how to use that. And I'm going to cry when I have jaundice. And you're going to be the one to get rid of the jaundice. And your milk is going to change as, right? If it needs to change viscosity, if it needs to change what it carries, if it needs to change from twin to twin, whatever the case might be, your milk, your body is going to change as much as I needed to. You ain't got out of this changing yet. And I'm going to eat off you until I can't eat off of you anymore. Right? And you're going to have to wean me. You're gonna have to wean me, because right, and everything is, what can I put in my mouth? You're gonna be, when I start crawling, you're gonna be afraid. If you ain't never had a baby, this first baby that you have, once you get to a few babies, you be kind of used to stuff and you get yourself together. But yeah, you're gonna be afraid of everything, because everything I see, it goes in my mouth. I don't care if you said not to put it in my mouth, it's going in my mouth. Right? Right? And the baby finally gets to an age after all those things where the baby has to learn how to share for the first time. You try to teach the baby patience. And that baby patience is wild for that baby because it's never had to be patient. Give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. Right? And by the way, it's not a bad thing. That's part of the baby's learning process. Its beginning is just give me myself, give me what I want, give me what I want, give me what I want. But the older the baby gets, even going into adulthood, the more the baby learns that it's not supposed to be selfish. But here's the problem. We don't put a place in there to where we teach the baby as it gets older, the teenager as they get older, the adult as they get older, give them boundaries to say, hey, continue to seek certain things or continue to learn not to be selfish. Be patient, right? But be patient means what? Patience is different than long suffering. How you doing, Coleman? Right? Patience is different than long suffering. Long suffering means as long as it takes, you're gonna suffer. That's why the fruit of the spirit, the fifth piece of the fruit is not patience. Somebody wrote that in the New King James Version, and now it's taking a life of its own. It's actually long suffering. The word in the Greek for long suffering and patience, although they're very close to being the same, they're actually two different words. So patience runs out. Long suffering is what it is. So when you got to be long suffering, that's just until the Most High says. And suffer is a choice. Patience runs out though, which means there has to be a boundary. Did you catch that? Suffering is a choice. I will choose to go through it as long as possible. That's long suffering. But patience has a limit. Did you catch the difference? Patience has a limit. So long suffering is I will suffer through as long as it takes or as long as I'm told to. Patience says I'm walking into this. If I'm supposed to be patient, it means that there's a cutoff point. There's a boundary. Why is it important that we catch that, beloved? Why is it important that we even catch that we even say that we even make sure that we have that in our etymology, that we recognize the difference? It is extremely important and extremely valuable for us to recognize that there's a limit, because patience is limited, which means I'll have patience when it comes to putting myself last. But there's a boundary. There's a place to where I cannot put myself last. We shouldn't be a doormat. That's right. Right? There's a boundary. Right? I don't mind putting myself last. I even know in the kingdom, those that are last will be first and the first will be last. I recognize all those things, but don't get it twisted. There is a boundary that you or anybody else has no right ever to pass. If you pass it, then I'm going to deal with you. Whether you like that I deal with you or not, there's a level, right, that I must deal with you, whether you like me for dealing with you or not. May I say it one more again? There's a level that I will deal with you, but once you get to that border, I've got to let you know that that's, and it's all right. I've told some of you who do a lot of great things for the kingdom that I never want you to ever feel like all we do is use you. No matter what your gift is, no matter if you have the gift of song, no matter if you have the gift of preaching, no matter if you have the gift financially, no matter if you have the gift of land, no matter if you have the gift of whatever, right? There are limits and boundaries, and I respect them. And you have a right to tell me, oh yeah, I'm not doing that. Right? Be led by the Spirit, but you have a right to say enough is enough on certain things. You have a right to say, I don't like such and such, right? Even if I don't agree with you, even if I believe that you're not doing it from a kingdom perspective or led by the Vachakodash, I will still honor the fact that you have the right to say no. That's free will. Free will means that you have the right to suffer. You have the right to choose. The woman's suffrage movement, that's the woman's choosing movement, the woman's voting movement. You have a right to vote. This is why when people try to say stuff crazy to us and be like, oh, well, y'all don't believe in voting, you're the problem because our ancestors, they fought for voting. This is not, no. The ancestors fought for a right to vote. Don't come in here and try to make me feel guilty because the ancestors wanted me to have the right to vote. I have the right to vote. I also have the right to not. And if I believe that voting is not what we do in a kingdom, then why would my ancestors who believe in the same kingdom, why would they have a problem with me exercising my what? my right. See, people will mess with you, but it's a choice. There's a limit, right? If somebody want to eat, I don't have no right to tell them that they can't eat pork. I tell them that if you're going to be in the kingdom, we can't eat pork. But if you want to eat pork, just eat pork. Just don't try to act like Yah chooses to have that in the kingdom when we know he doesn't. You want to eat pork, eat as much as you want. Just don't tell me the Bible allows you to. But you have a choice. Eat however much you want. You see what I'm saying? Eat as much as you want. Just don't tell me that that's what's in the Torah, right? Eat as much as you want. Just don't lie on Peter and say that Peter said that he wanted to go ahead and have as much, that he was eating the spread, because that's not the context. The dream that Peter had was one to where he never ate the unclean things, but then after he had the dream, he went over somebody's house who would have been considered to be unclean. And when he spoke the word over that person that was considered to be unclean, that so-called unclean person was actually somebody who caught the Holy Spirit, caught the Holy Ghost. And when he saw this happen, the same way that it happened at the day of Pentecost, then Peter said, oh, well, if this can happen to the so-called unclean person, then all right, that's what the dream was about. He never once in the dream ate anything, and he never once ate anything unclean. If you want to eat what's unclean, fine. Don't try to lie to me about what the Bible says, right? You have every right to eat the unclean thing. Just realize if you want that right, then it's not covered by the law, and you have to leave the kingdom in order to do so. You can eat the unclean thing, just stop trying to do it inside the house of Yah, right? This is what happened in Maccabees, in the Maccabees movement, right? When they had that so-called guerrilla warfare, they were trying to force Israelites to sacrifice unclean things to the Most High, the ones called the Hellenistic Yehovah, or the Hellenistic Jew. And the ones that were Jews that didn't want to do this, they said, we will not do that. And so they ended up going to war, right? Because they don't get down with what's unclean. If you want to do it, fine, but don't try to force us to do it, and don't try to force us to do it in the temple. And then even pray over it. Talk about, Yah, protect us from this, when his law says what? It's like when we talk about all the time. Somebody will have a bowl of sugar. You say, no, it's not sugar. Okay, you'll have a 2-liter gallon of Sprite. You'll have 5 Kit Kat bars. I'm not even talking about, because each Kit Kat bar technically has what, like 4 Kit Kat bars in it, whatever. So let's say 5 times 4 is 20. You got 20 Kit Kat bars. You got ketchup all over your food. That's sugar, right? You got all these different things that are there. Then you put a bunch of salt, heaping bowls of salt with it too. Your chips, whether they be fried French fries or fried chips, or whether they be chips that you get in the bag that are fried too and have all the salt and stuff and sodium on them. And then you do what? You put a bunch of fat in it. So you got all the fat from all the meat. You don't trim any fat, or you don't look at anything, or you're not even going to do anything to burn the fat off, and not even realizing that some of the starch is going to end up turning into sugar, and sometimes even turning into fat and being stored as fat and stuff like that. You're literally having all this unclean stuff, or at least not recognizing what it is you put on your plate. And then you say, Father, please watch over this food, right? And bless our food, and protect our bodies. And he's looking at you like, yo, what are we doing here, right? But once again, somebody who was raised in the pig pen for a really long time, and when they come to themselves, they're not coming back to the house, they're coming back to the pig pen. If your standard is pig pen, y'all remember Pigpen? I know this is an old musty reference right here, but y'all remember Pigpen from Charlie Brown? And everywhere that man went, he was dirty. And forgive me for bringing this up. If you want to put the babies to the side for a second, I'm gonna, forgive me for bringing this up, but this was something that I found funny, because I got the reference right away, and many of you will if you haven't seen this already. I used to be somebody, I haven't watched it for years, at least not regularly for years, but the show Family Guy. Some of y'all might not know about Family Guy, but when you watch the show Family Guy, there's this episode that they do, how they had those cutaway scenes that they're very famous for. And one of the cutaway scenes is that Pigpen, the really dirty one, is married to one of the characters. I don't recall which name it was, or maybe he's just married to somebody in general, but Pigpen is an adult, but he's still dirty as I don't know what, right? And they got all the dust cloud and everything sitting around him, and they're sitting in front of a psychologist or a therapist. And as they're sitting, And as they're sitting in front of him or whatever, and having all this dialogue, as they're sitting in front of him, Pigpen is sitting there, and she's like, he must be cheating on me. He's like, I'm not cheating on her. And then she goes, well, why is it that I have all these, these STDs? And then the therapist just looks, he says, really? You don't know why? And I recall seeing that when I was much younger and laughing because like it's funny, but also you get the point, right? Like, okay, so you with somebody who don't never clean himself, and he's called Pigpen, and he's being faithful. He's being faithful to you. You're in a faithful relationship. But if the man is so dirty that he got a cloud hanging around him, if you have intercourse with the man, what do you think is going to happen? But you can be in a long relationship with somebody who's unclean, and then keep thinking at some point, and accept those things, thinking at some point it's gonna work, and he gonna be faithful to blah blah. It don't matter if you still have intercourse with the one who got all the dirt on him. Something bad gonna happen to you, right? I mean, you could do all you want. I'm just saying, right? At some point, something gonna happen to you. There's got to be some boundary. I've been faithful to him. He's been faithful to me. I don't know why it's not working. At some point, is there some kind of moral boundary? People keep trying to tell you not to follow the law. I got to ask you, is there some kind of moral boundary at some point? At some point, is there some kind of moral bound? Is there some kind of moral compass? Is there something that's greater than what that person wants to do? I loves him. I loves him. Okay, cool. Where's the moral boundary? This is how you get people that have been married 20, 30 years, getting their 40s and 50s, and all of a sudden they have midlife crisis. What is that? You got a midlife crisis? It's because that you never had you never had a life to begin with. Because you're supposed to be till death do us part. And somehow, some way, we can't figure out how to make it past the middle of life. Something ain't making sense. You're gonna have to help me with that. Right? Somebody gonna have to help me with that. Wait a minute. How you get to the they're supposed to be till death do us part. But somehow, some way, we can't figure this out at all. Like we can't figure this out at all. Yeah, I know why you can't figure it out at all. It's not even that difficult. I know why you can't figure it out at all, because he said, Yahushua said he came that you might have life and more abundantly. You don't have no life. Because if you have life, you don't get rid of life. No wonder people are being taught to get rid of children like it's nothing. Some of y'all who be into that whole fresh and fit thing, didn't they just get caught up? Where is it? I don't know which one is which. The bigger guy from Haiti that people be talking about him and be trying to make fun of him and be trying to say he dumb as a rock. And I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that's what people be saying, right? And he do come off as unpolished because he obviously is not reading and studying and doing stuff. He just parrots stuff. So he comes off looking real bad a lot, right? But he got in that relationship with the Chinese model girl. And the Chinese model was listening to him and thought that he was this and that. And she looked past quite a few things. If you look at that, she looked past quite a few different things. Fresh, okay. She looked past quite a few different things with this dude who apparently is obvious. First of all, he's not going to be faithful. And he kind of told you that in the beginning, but then he started lying and he started saying, oh, I think you're the one and this and that or whatever, because he had this model on his arm and this and that. He was doing everything he can. And then all of a sudden, like, it was a scare where she thought she was pregnant. He wouldn't make sure he stopped doing what he did wrong. I'm just saying it the way it is, right? He stopped. He kept busting, and he was raw, right? So then she told him straight up, okay, well, you got off the hook this time, but next time it's gonna be there. And she's sitting there saying she's coming up from her country. He's saying he's gonna put her in a house. They're gonna do all this stuff, whatever. She gets pregnant, and all of a sudden he just ghosted. Had her at his crib, wouldn't even show up at the crib for 3-4 days. And then everything is get that word that rhymes with extortion, that starts with an A, right? Over and over and over again. Get that done. Remove the child, remove the life. You're removing the life because you don't even value life. You don't value sex. You don't value marriage. You don't value her. See, since you didn't value her life, how could you value the life? Matter of fact, though, it gets deeper, because how could you value the life that you put in her if you don't value the life that extended that life? In other words, in order to tell her to just get rid of the baby and go against her culture and go against how she's raised. And people say, well, she's a model and she's had partners and stuff before and stuff and blah, blah. And she knew what she was doing. Yeah, she knew what she was doing, but she was very honest and authentic about it. Like, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I see in you. And at first she said, you can go ahead and have. Now, was she a little off because she was smitten? Because she didn't really have proper self-appreciation in the first place? Yeah, we could definitely say that. And you knew that he had multiple partners and you let it go. But then when he said he's going to start being faithful, you thought he was going to start being faithful, this and that. But you knew he was a dog when you got with him. So we gotta be honest on the other side too. But let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck though. And all that stuff that's going on, with them, right? And I don't know all the details. I know it on a fringe level, right? I don't know all the details. I know it on a fringe level. I'll be completely honest. But when you look at it even from the outside, the more stuff that you get, the more things that happen to come across my feed, you're like, oh, I mean, this is very apparent. He doesn't respect his own life. How you doing, Yehuda? He doesn't respect his own life. If he respected his own life, then anything that's an extension of his life, he would keep it. I'm just trying to help you. See, a woman that doesn't respect her own life will take the life. Even when they say stuff, when you hear sisters say stuff like, oh, well, who would want to bring a child into this world and nobody's here to help me, and I'll just go ahead and give it up for adoption, or I'll just go ahead and take the life of the child or whatever. It's because they're saying that I don't think my life is respectable. I don't think that I'm secure. I don't think that. And by the way, a woman's number one and number two need is going to be security and affection. I don't feel secure enough. I don't feel affection enough. So I might as well not even keep the baby. All right, cool. I see you and I can empathize with that part. However, why is it that you believe that your life is nothing? But you don't understand, I got a baby coming and I'm not going to provide. Why do you believe that you're nothing? It's not that you're nothing, because you're not going to take your life. So ultimately, you don't have enough sense to protect that. No. But why would I want to bring a child and this and that? It's not. And then you start looking to change it. Well, it's not really a child. No. Let's deal with this. What about your life are you living in? What is the nothing situation? What are the nothing persons that you're around that are causing you to believe that you are nothing? Why is it that you don't respect yourself enough to not even allow yourself to be put in that position? I get that there are men who will essay women and stuff like that, right? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but percentage wise, let's be honest, that's not anywhere close to majority. Okay. It's heavily the minority that happens, and women are carrying babies because of that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying let's be honest in that part. So let's represent that. I get that, but also that's not like when women go, well, if you say that women shouldn't get those extortions that start with the A, if you're saying women can't do that, they don't have a right to their body. First of all, I didn't say women doesn't have a right to a body. You have a right to do whatever you want. Just don't act like you can do it, and we'll call it kingdom, right? This is when I had the issue with Jamal Bryant preaching that, which, by the way, Jamal Bryant is preaching that because he doesn't want to admit to you that when he was in Baltimore, he was out there cheating on his wife, got caught because some of the women wouldn't get that A word done to them. So now he's trying to talk about it's a woman's choice because he was out there not taking care of his responsibility, cheating on his wife, coveting what wasn't his, lusting, and now has fruits of that he still doesn't take care of to this day. Or if he does, he's only taking care of it because now the church taking care of it and not him. Right? And now we're trying to sit there. Yeah, see, I'm so glad there's a pastor to come out and tell you guys it's a woman's church. Yeah, it's a woman's right. You have a right. It's your own body. I just want you to know, though, you can't call that kingdom. Because if the Bible declares that he knew you before the foundation of the world, PK, if the Bible declares that he knew you before the foundation of the world, then he knew the seed that you're getting rid of. Now, once again, if that's not your standard, that's cool. What I'm saying is read your Bible. It'll bless you, right? It ain't got to be mine, right? Read your Bible. If that's your stance, is that, hey, how you doing? If that's your stance, is that you say that the Most High says that it's all right for you to do that, then you can't change his word to make it that. If you want to have the abortion, just stop calling yourself a child of the Most High. That's fair. I think that's more than fair. I believe that's righteousness. That's right lawful standing. Like if you're gonna do it, just like if you're gonna eat that food, then stop telling yourself, stop trying to act like we're supposed to support it in the kingdom. If you want to do that, just do it outside the kingdom. And if you want to come back into the kingdom, then guess what you're gonna have to do? Repent. Act like, not even act like, make it a point to tell people what I did was wrong. If you ever cheat on your spouse and we find out about it, even if we don't, you should do this. But if we ever find out you cheat on your spouse, guess what? We will not support that. Any of us, any of us, any of us, if it's found out that you ever cheated on your spouse, it will not be supported. And you will sit your little tail down if you're going to be part of us until you cleanse yourself. Why? Because if you don't cleanse yourself, then you're not in the kingdom. The kingdom is clean. So there's got to be forgiveness. There's got to be trust built back up. There's got to be a cleansing process. And if you're not willing to go through any of those, then you're not going to be in the kingdom. We cannot support it. It doesn't mean that if we see you outside the kingdom and you're hungry, we won't give you food. No, it doesn't mean that. We'll feed you, but we have to feed you as somebody who's outside the kingdom. That's not no excommunication or nothing. We don't have the right to do that, right? But what we have the right to say is it's not in the kingdom. So if you want to do something that's crazy, if you want to do whatever and you want to do stuff that's wild, then wild out. Just wild out outside the gate. Enter into his gates with what? Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving in the Middle English there, it means to fast. Enter his gate by giving up what it is that you have. Fasting, letting it go. And then you can go deeper into his courts. You can get a little deeper with what? With praise. But your praise don't mean nothing if you haven't given up the things of the world. Oh my greatness. See, you got to stop putting yourself last. The only reason you have a last mentality. That's why you can't last. Because you must endure. Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. Those who endure all these false doctrines, the same shall be saved. Because you got to endure. You have no endurance. You must endure the slings and arrows. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it's just nobler in the mind, right? That famous thing from Hamlet, when he's looking at the skull, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it's just nobler in the mind to take on the slings and arrows, or I forget. I used to know that. I actually did a whole thing in drama when I was in high school on that whole thing, right? Right. But when you do that, when you look at that famous speech, this is somebody whose uncle has gone ahead and offed his father. His mother is now his uncle's wife, and he's sitting up there trying to figure out: should I take his life? Should I take my life? I want to take his life because I need to get revenge. Like that's what that's actually about. A lot of people don't even know. He's talking about boundaries. He's talking about you are this. My uncle is a habitual line. That's what he's saying. My uncle is a habitual line stepper. Should I slap the taste out of his mouth in front of everybody? Should I take his life in front of everybody, or should I let this ride? Am I tripping? This is what he's really saying. Like, can we make Shakespeare modern? Can we do a hood Shakespeare real quick? What he's saying is like, and when he say to be or not to be, my man is saying, yo, for real, I don't know what I'm about to do, right? Like, it is what it is, but what should I really do? Like, is it nobler tip? Whether it's just nobler in the mind, my man is like, yo, does it make me look all right? Because really, for real, I think anybody would comprehend if I took my uncle's life for what he did to my daddy, right? But at the opposite side, he ain't really, is that really becoming to somebody that's in the kingdom? My mama involved with this and that. And look at all the stuff that people would throw at me and stuff. They probably take my life and all that, but I go out like a G. I'd be all right if they go ahead and take my life and pull these arrows and stuff like that and shoot me if it means that I went ahead and I got at my father. But got back respect for my father, got respect for the hood. I'm back to being the number one on top. If I went to prison for it, everybody in the prison, they'd understand. They probably love me and they probably take care of me for the rest of my life. But is it worth it? He's literally he has a conflict within himself. Should I be last? Should I just be a doormat? Is it, is it all right that everybody like should I just go ahead and be a simp out here? Should I just let them do me like that? You just let them do me like that? Or should I go ahead and take action? And that's what a lot of people are dealing with, right? Should I continue to be last, right? Does the kingdom demand require of me that I keep being last? Should I be last or should I blast? Right? Should I stay last on them or should I blast on them? This is what my man said. Like, should I stay last? The kingdom of heaven suffered violence, the violent taking it by force. And I know I get it that the mindset is supposed to be about John the Baptist, but what is the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, right? And the violent take it by force. The violent, they violently taken from us. And we sitting up here just being like, why they take it from us? We shall overcome, right? That's what we looking like out here. Now, am I saying that we should never be willing to be a martyr? No. Let be led by the Holy Spirit. But at the same time, I'm not a doormat. And that's why we lose the respect. That's why we lose the respect. That's why people walk all over you all day. Matter of fact, about our diaspora, there's a famous thing going around, and he's not the first person to say this, of course, and there's many people who've said this, but there's a famous thing floating around social media right now by Godfrey, the comedian Godfrey, whatever, he played Gemon in the Soul Plane, right? For those of you who know about Soul Plane, I know that's not holy movie, but for those of you who've seen Soul Plane, Godfrey does all the impressions and stuff. And there's this famous thing that's going around now where he's talking about how, and this person's not the first person to say this by far. He's not the first Asian person to say it, first person to say it, first black, white, first human being to say it. But he said that he got a boy, and his boy, was a drug dealer or whatever. And his boy was going to try and make it big time. And he wanted to do some stuff, some trading and stuff. And so he went down to Chinatown. He says the boy goes down to Chinatown, and he basically meets up with like a kingpin in Chinatown, a drug kingpin there. And, the cat is Chinese. And the dude talking to him, stuff like that, ain't even no racist stuff, but he says some real stuff. And we're not ready to hear this. But this is real stuff that he says. He says, you, and I'm not going to try to act like I can do the accent or whatever, but he basically says, you guys, you black guys, he's like, you powerful. You're really great. You do a lot of great things. Everybody copy you. Everybody jealous of you. He said this to the guy. They're having a conversation. He's like, you good. You guys are very powerful. He said the one thing you don't have is unity. He said it's very easy to break you up. Which means in the drug game, somebody says, even in the drug game, even in the illegal, unlawful thing, he's like, y'all can't even stay unified in that. You can't even push drugs right. Is what he was saying. Right? It shouldn't be surprising. We can't do what we're supposed to do. How you doing, Brother TJ? We can't do what we're supposed to do in the kingdom. We can't. He said you can't even push drugs right. He's like, you can't even do the illegal things right because it's easy to break y'all up. Because the people who've been taught that their self-value is nothing have been taught that the societal value is nothing. Because once again, every society is based off of a group of individuals, and there's no individual that's not shaped by their society. And Willie Lynch and them, and Queen Isabella and them, and many others, these presidents that set precedent, they made it a point. The Pope and them, all these people, they made it a point to cause you as an individual to believe that you were last, and that what you valued as society was last, and not only that it could not be protected. Amen. Many ripple effects. So if you feel like you last, right? You're last. Watch this. You feel like you're last in your hair. I know I'm about to do a play on word because I know heritage is not the same as heritage, but I'm going to tell you that there's a heritage in your heritage. But because you think that your heritage is last, you don't think that you should be involved in that heritage. So therefore, somebody else's heritage gets to shape your heritage. And so you'd rather be with a low cut shape up that show that you belong to massa than to make sure that you wear your hair. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has to have long hair. No, what I'm saying is you don't think of yourself as a standard. And thank you for the love. Appreciate you. Right. You don't think that your hair is the standard. Meanwhile, go to any of these countries. Go to look at Africans. There's a Ghanaian man right now, got a YouTube channel, and he goes to many places in China. China, they are very, very much so hate us because they hate themselves as well. They don't reckon, there's people don't know that China Japan, Korea, Mongolia, a lot of these places, when you go there, you got to look at us. We're part of the of what's going on there. But nevertheless, right? Even a lot of you that have red hair, you think it's because of Vikings. They never tell you that the reason you have red hair is because it's a very Mongolian and African trait to have, right? Even Genghis Khan had red hair. People don't know, So you'll think that your red hair always comes from a Viking, or your mama had to have been forced. Sometimes it's just because that's part of your heritage, right? There we go again, that word. Nevertheless, though, right? There's a Ghanaian guy. He goes all through China, and he talks to people. And guess what? A lot of them do. They want to look at his hair, touch his hair. They taking recordings of him and stuff like that, right? But they're all enamored by this because his hair can do things that theirs can't. They're enamored by him because his skin, is dark and it can be clean at the same time. And they're freaked out by he has the conversations he'll have, even with the babies and even with the elders, are hard to listen to, but they're also a blessing. Where you have a little Chinese girl and she'll be talking to him and they're eating, and she's saying, I don't want a hug. I only want hugs from white people. I don't want hugs from black people because black people are bad. And it's like, but you're not even white. But she doesn't comprehend it because we think that colonization only happened to us, forgetting that colonization was a worldwide thing. It's a spirit. And even though they're talking about the physical stuff, they're really talking about a place where they're trying to hit you as far as what you carry is not valuable enough. So the things that everybody needs to survive, nobody survives without melanin. You have more of it than anybody else does, but you think of it as being last. So you don't last. Your culture doesn't last because you go into somebody else's society thinking you're last. I'm trying to help somebody else. See, this is why Rosh Chodesh Nisan tonight. This is why when we meet together on Zoom at 11 p.m. Eastern New York time, and whether you get the link through email or whatever, or you get it through social media, or you blow up my phone until I send it to you, be on there because this is your culture. These are things that are designed to last, to help us to last eternally. That you realize that when you do these things and they call you last, you always first. When you do these things that they call you last, you're always first. Look, come for the king, come for the throne, and keep telling me I'm last because all you do is show me why I sit on that mug. Powerfully, confidently, consistently. You can't mess with this because you mess with something. You mess with Yah's child. Don't touch his anointed. I'm designed to last, not just through life, not just for 150 years. I'm designed to last eternally. And David, my forefather, he has a throne. It's already said in Revelation. And my forefathers, Judah being one of them, Levi being another one of them, Benjamin being another one of them, my forefathers, they sit on the throne. I last. I'm never last, even if the world says I'm last, right? I'm never last because I'm first. And because I'm first, because I'm last, I shall last eternally. It's a different ball game. But see, this is why you need New Year. This is why you need removing the leaven from your home. This is why you need Passover. This is why, as much as is possible, we need to meet up physically with each other. This is why we have to have these things. Because the reason why you think you're last is because everything that you are that causes life to exist, they tell you that they don't want it. They tell you, look at your women with them hips, but now they can't wait to get the BBL down. Well, off themselves, can't even sit down on the flight home, and you're trying to get rid of it. They're risking their life. They can't even. Do you know that when you get the BBL done, you're, at least as far as I know, as far as I've been told. I ain't been at one. I've never done one. I've never had one. I don't want nobody in SOC to have one. But do you not realize, sis, that the thing that they say is too much cushion is the very thing that they will off themselves for to try and get? The very nose that they describe that makes you so this and that or whatever. Do you not realize that in places all over the world, don't just think about Brazil, don't just think about England, in places all over the world, right? They literally covered up their faces because they thought that their women were too pretty and too beautiful, and they didn't want their men to keep chasing them. While they called you animals and wouldn't even call you a human being, they had children with you, forced you to lay down and had their children because they realized that they needed to have, this is what they said. They said they needed to have different versions of people that could do work that they couldn't do, and they needed to drop white blood in you so that you would be confused about yourself and think that one was better than the other. They literally got you as a sister to protect, to feed out of their hand so that you would protect the child, and that make sure that that child could therefore be sold into somebody else and they can continue to go. And we still do the same thing. They still out here getting you to raise children in reverse roles so they can sell them out to the highest bidder, sell them out to Taco Bell, sell them out to McDonald's. Oh, you don't want to hear this today, right? This is why you got to stop putting yourself last. Watch this. Why do you need to homeschool your child as much as possible? I know it's not possible for everybody, but why do you need to homeschool them as much as possible? Make sure they're getting this message, or make sure that you're putting them in the stuff that we even have at SOC for our children. And so why do you need to have stuff like that in your life as much as possible? Why do you need to meet up with fellow believers as much as possible? Why do you need to get these things questioned? Why do you need to be part of the holy days? Why do you need to get this back in your culture? You need to get it back because everything about Yah is trying to be put last. And they realize that if you ever realize who you are, Yah must come first because Yah is over the whole world. It's his world. There's an old saying, it's your world, play. I'm just living in it. It's Yah's world. We just living in it. And the Satan is being given, had been given an opportunity. He lost it. And now he's trying to take away everybody's opportunity. But it's Yah's world. And if people ever saw that it was his, and he can do with it whatever he chooses, but he's giving everybody an opportunity because to get it together, for it's not his will that any would perish, but that all would have everlasting life. I'm sorry, what you said? Vikings came from the mixing Avda and the Mycenaeans. The end result was Egyptians and Hyksos. I mean, there's a lot of that too. I never even thought about that, but now that you say it that way, yeah, of course. All right. They're not realizing, right? Get up, be who you are. Sister, if you ever, now you got to have a husband. I'm not talking about just a man. I'm talking about a kingdom husband. If you got a kingdom husband, the best place you could be is in submission, because it's not called submission, it's submission. Submitted to the mission. If you would allow him to just simply give direction, because the Bible says that he gives direction. It's Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8. The father gives direction, the mother lays down the law. Let him give direction. If it's of the Most High. If it's not of the Most High, then you fight for the Most High's direction. But if he's submitted to the same mission that you're submitted to, then all you're dealing with is a vessel. And if you want security is the number one of the six basic human needs for sisters. That's always going to be security. Going to be number one. Number two is going to be affection. Allow him to secure you. I know. See, I lost some people on that. Up here he is. Here's a misogynistic thing. No. I didn't say that he's toxic, because being masculine is not being toxic. Masculinity is part of creation. Toxicity is when it breaks down creation. So if he's toxic, he's not masculine. So once again, it's not submission, submitted to a man. It's submission. If he's under the mission of Yah and his mission covers and protects you, then why would you not follow? Because you were taught that something that's very cultural for you, which is for women to be protected by their men, is wrong. Here it is, though, that you go and look in these other communities. These men better protect their women. Spanish cats be talking trash and they be in the house and they be like, yeah, you better make me food and stuff. And the Spanish mama of the cat talking trash, the dude who talking trash, his mama will talk to the girlfriend and say, don't cook him nothing else unless he's your wife. And will tell her, take the food away, because you don't play that. You know what it is. You're supposed to take care of her. This, right? She's like, I take care of the stuff in my house because my husband, he protects us. So I lay down laws to make sure that his direction is also part of the laws. But when he comes in, he has to protect his wife, her laws, so that his direction can be taken care of. The two work together as one. You go to other cultures, they don't play this stuff. Fathers will be listening to their daughters talking, well, he this, and listen to the American stuff that people be saying, and the British stuff that people be saying now and stuff like that. And he'll say, time out. Like, why are you talking to him like that? Well, he ain't this, and he's not like you, dad, and blah, blah. Yeah, but you listen to me. You don't listen to him. Straight up. But they taught you that's wrong. Even the feminist movement, to where all these feminists talking this and that or whatever, and talking bad about their man and doing this, and all the Johnny Depp stuff that happened with Amber and all that stuff, Amber Heard and all that stuff. she was still married, right? Being taken care of, getting the movies from the same person that she dared tell you is the one that's attacking her, blah, blah. Come to find out it wasn't, right? But the same one that she put on blast like that, she ain't got no movies if it's not for her husband. Who knew about Amber Heard before Johnny Depp? Now, I'm not saying that we should treat women like that and be like, oh, they nothing without a man at all. No, we work together. It's interdependence. Right? Who am I without Amma? You think I care about color coordination? You think I care about, I'm not even saying care about, you think I would think honestly like about making sure that there's nice little presentations and that the newsletter's hitting and this and that and all this stuff if she's not there to say that? Who am I without Amma? Amma and I are one. When you see certain things and you go, oh man, that's really nice and this feminine stuff, guess where that came from? It didn't come from me. When you hear me admitting that we need to listen to our sisters and stuff, that didn't come from me. That came from sisters who talked to me and said, hey, don't be like a lot of these preachers out here that you learn about this and learn about that. And why don't you tell us about the Deborahs? And why don't you tell us about the Ruths? And why don't you tell us about the Naomis? And why don't you even defend Orpah? Everybody makes Orpah out to look bad, but look at her situation. And why don't you tell us about the pastor that's mentioned in John chapter 2, that pastor whose name was lady. She was elected to be pastor. Why don't you talk about her? Why don't you talk about the women at the well who preached the word? Why don't you talk about the 3 women who came to get Yehoshaphat's body and they preached the word? And why don't you talk? It's women that bring this stuff up. I listen. That's not because I'm super feminine or I'm better than everybody else. I took time out to listen to the sisters. I took time out to listen to my wife. I took time. I told you the person who taught me the most about a lot of the stuff that I do now, even though I obviously have had more teaching since, it was my mom. It was my mama. My father was taking care of the family, right? He was working 2.5 jobs. He had them gigs. Meanwhile, mama's at home teaching me the word. So I learned it from a feminine perspective. Doesn't mean that I can't be masculine because of that. No, it means that now I have more holistic stuff, holiness, whole stuff together. How you doing, Bradley? Thanks for being on. Thank you, everybody, for being on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We appreciate your presence so very much. Thank you for spending some time with us as we're going through this series, removing the leaven from our home. And as today we're talking about, we're going to stop putting ourselves last. We are the only community that thinks that it is righteous to put ourselves last. Because 2 is supposed to be 1. So you do that to my wife, you do it to me. You do it to your husband. They do it to your husband. They do it to you. You do that to my sister. You do it to me. You do it to my brother. You do it to me. Even Yehoshaphat said, they said, man, your mama and your family outside. He said, who is my mother? Who is my father? My family are those who do the will of the Most High. So if mama tripping, mama, you ain't part of my family right now. I'm sorry. I know that hurts you. I know that hurts. It hurts me to say. I was telling my wife this the other day. I was like, you know what? Sometimes it's wild. You start to say things that you think you never say, and prayerfully people get the context of it. As much as I wish my mother was right here, right now, I was telling my wife something we were talking about, and I was like, man, I don't know if my mother was still around. I don't know if we get along, because I don't think I can deal with some of this stuff that people be talking about. Their mama did this and their mama did that and blah, blah. I was like, because, I was a mama's boy and everything, but I think we'd be at it. I think maybe the Most High knew, we was gonna have to. I was gonna have her in my mind as this, and even though I know she comes with mistakes like that and she's not perfect per se, right? I also realized like it might be a great thing that Mama wasn't around, because knowing Kofi, I got some issues and probably would have taken them issues out on Mama. So I'd be saying stuff like, hey, but maybe even though Mama's not here now, look, I hope everybody's mother stays around. Like I said, I'd be missing my mama like crazy every day, at least once or twice, bare minimum. I'm thinking about her and even something small, and I had to pause and think about something she would have done. And she's been passed away for over 2 decades. I still think about it like that. Love my mama. What I'm saying though is I'd be sitting there sometimes and just being like, I think we would have been beefing. Like I'll be watching other people tell me my mom did this and blah blah, and I'd be like, what, my mom probably would have said the same thing. And how would I have dealt with that? And I'd be like, I don't know if I would have dealt with that right. You said you lost yours at 13. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I lost mine 19, 20, somewhere in there. 19, 20 years of age. Right. But so I love her, but I'd be sitting there thinking sometimes, maybe we ran our course, right? She went out like a G. She looked the sun in the eye. She had that thing down the throat. and everything. Couldn't breathe, couldn't talk. Somehow, some way was able to whisper stuff and was able to tell her son all these great things and gird him up, had me thinking that she was gonna make it and everything. I left out. As soon as I got back to my duty station, it was like, you need to go right back. I was like, I think that might be where we need to be. You know what I'm saying? No. I hope that doesn't come off as offensive to anybody. I'm just being honest. I'm like, maybe we wouldn't have been, been what we needed to be, right? Maybe we'd have been fighting some and stuff like that, or I would have had to learn patience in a way, you know. But I praise y'all for the time we had together. But you start realizing some stuff, like you start saying, oh, okay, I can maybe see the holiness of the whole picture, if you will, and not just be going off of what it is I want, a desire, yada yada yada. He said, even though the disciples argued at times, they were on one accord. Yeah. So, but we are some of the only people to where we have realized that putting ourselves last. It's amazing. We'll have people that are married to each other in our diaspora, but keep telling the person they're married to they want them to act like everybody else in theirs. Like stuff like that don't make sense. You said Yahushua had a mother. Without her, there would have been no salvation for us. I mean, there you go. Or well, we wouldn't. Yeah. Without her giving birth. But we had to get to this place where we recognize and realize. Where we recognize, we realize what's going on. And we don't think about these things. We don't honor these things. But, and I'm not saying that I'm against interracial relationships. I'm not doing none of that. I'm just saying we don't recognize that it's okay for us to come first. Like, we don't realize that. Like, it's all right for us. So watch this. Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. We'll start there. I'm going to come off the dome, so please forgive me, but I think I got enough of it where we'll get the gist of it. I'm not going to be quoting it exactly, but I want to go. This is in the curses, right? Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through 14 are the blessings. Deuteronomy 28, verses 15 through 68 are the curses, right? And these are the things that will happen to us when we are not in alignment with the word of Yah, or when, watch this, not only should we not put our first selves last, but if Yah is in us, then we shouldn't put him last. He should be first. So when he's not the first, but he becomes the last, rather than allowing we who are last through him to be made first, we got a problem. But when Yah is made last in our lives, never to be made first. See, he made himself last so that he could be first. We don't need to try and make him last. All we got to do is acknowledge he's first. He already made himself last because he put himself in a position where you are. That's why you don't have to acknowledge yourself as last. Because why? Because even if you're last, you're a fellow heir of his. So if he became last, a living sacrifice, and even a sacrifice, that you might not now be able to become first. This is why we talked about yesterday. You shouldn't even have a fear of death. Because why am I worried about death if I'm a fellow heir? If he was raised, then so shall I. If he has wealth and riches that are outside of the world, then so shall I. Matter of fact, if he is a child of the king, then so am I. If he is blessed, then I am blessed. But only if we're in the same kingdom, only if we're in the same law, only if we have the same father, only if I've been adopted or grafted into his family. And thank you for the love. Appreciate it. Right? Okay. Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. It starts off by saying some very interesting things. It says that because men are under siege, it says the men start to act wild. We start tripping. This is men under siege, been told to put themselves last, can't leave where they are, can't get the jobs that they used to, can't have their own food now. Somebody's constantly under siege, the kingdom of heaven suffering violence. Right? That's Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. And what does it say first? It doesn't first say that we attack our wife. We attack ourselves. Read your Bible. It'll bless you. It's in there. Now, if I'm in the wrong place, sometimes I'll be confusing verse 45 and 54 and be flipping them in my head. But I believe it's verse 54, where it says that before we attack the wife of our bosom, the first thing it says is that we look at our brothers and we covet what they have, and we're jealous of what they have, and we're upset. And really, they don't have any more than we do because they're under siege as well. If we're both under siege, if we're both under attack, then we both under attack. But before we start talking about our wife, we don't even look at our wife first. We look at what other men have. This is like when brothers and sisters. Brothers don't dress up for sisters as much as y'all be talking about. Brothers don't even dress up for kingdom and for themselves. Brothers be dressing up trying to make sure they look better than other brothers. Brothers try to get women because they want to get the women that other brothers have. It's coveting. We're very covetous. Oh, I know somebody don't want to hear this stuff. How you doing, Tennessee? I know people don't want to hear this, but I'm gonna speak to you today. I'm gonna say on your doorstep. Brothers ain't out here getting women just because they want to go ahead and have sex. They're having sex because they learn from other brothers that that's what makes you a man. I know. We're not supposed to admit such things. It's reality though. And sisters, y'all be doing the same thing, low key. Talking about I'm gonna get them lashes done because men like it. Nowhere in the history of mandom has any right. No mandom never came out and said, "Yo, them lashes is banging." Y'all be sitting up there. Men want the fake breasts and they want this and they want that. No, men, especially men who have no morality and no sense of certain things or whatever. A lot of men will do a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of men will get with somebody just because they can get with a lot of men who have lust issues. They'll get with anybody, no matter how crazy looking this and that or whatever. You don't want a man that's just sleeping with you and you say he's sleeping with you because you got fake breasts and this and that or whatever. A lot of men are not attracted to fake. Quiet is kept. Am I saying that there are none? No. I'm trying to tell you, a lot of men are not attracted to what's fake. Right? Even sisters. You talking about you wearing the Gucci, the Versace, and all this stuff. Versace ain't even attracted to women. How you doing, sister? It's a competition between y'all. And then you start dressing like women of other diasporas because, oh well, our men are attracted to them, blah blah. A lot of our men are not going after them. Right, but we've been taught that that's the trophy. So men that make money and stuff like that, they go ahead and now all of a sudden the women they're supposed to be better. They want the millions and stuff, and people start mixing and matching and all that stuff with people that they don't care about every day. Come on, hear this, somebody. Somebody, I'm knocking on your door today. I'm not gonna leave this doorstep. I'm sent. We still got a little bit of time. You gonna have to deal with me. Love you, love you, but you gonna deal with me today. You gonna learn today. You gonna deal with some of this today. You gonna deal with some of this today. Love you. Love you too much and see you keep on getting hit upside the head with this, right? I'm gonna get with them because they got better credit. As if you need credit to get a home. Support each other's businesses and who cares? The only reason you go through their credit is because you think that you can't get anything without them. Have your own land, have your own business, have your own structure, and then why are you going to them in the first place? See, there's African nations, they're finally starting to get it. They're starting to be like, you know what? I think we'll just stop allowing people to come over here and get coal and get diamonds and get rubber and get this. Because if it's that important, then people can just get it from us. Why are we allowing you to come and take our stuff? And say that we're a terrible nation as you continue to tear us down and force us into slavery. If anything, if we enslaving anybody, we can enslave ourselves. But how about this? We just go ahead and we just work as a family and we'll make it work for us. And if you try to cut us off for it, cool, no problem. We can feed ourselves. It's not like we have no trees or no fruit or that we can't grow animals. People are starting to get it. Like we can teach ourselves. We know English, you force us to learn English. We know French, you force us to learn French. We know Spanish, you force us to learn Spanish. And we speak more languages here than you speak anyways. Maybe we'll just teach ourselves. We used to do it for generations, and we were your teachers. Before you once again told us that we were last and told us that we had no culture to begin with, even though you have no language. If it's not for us, you don't even have a Russian language. If it's not for the grandson of a slave who became so great at what he did that he was freed and adopted into the royal family. But then we're going to turn to Russia and we're going to wait for Russia to verify that we are who we say we are. For what? Read about the first samurai in Japan, supposedly the first, right? There was a black man. I don't need to be told that black people don't know martial arts, and you got the martial arts from us anyway. At a certain point, you got to stop asking. See, this is why people try to use this against you. Why is everything always got to be? You're just trying to say nobody has any culture. No, I'm not saying nobody has any culture, but you're going to stop saying we have none. And your whole existence, a lot of the people in the world, their whole existence is based upon saying that we have no culture. So every time that I step up and say something, I can step up and say something about almost every sentence you speak, because you've been so geared to be anti-us that anything that I say is an assault on what made you great. Right? Everything that I speak is an assault on what you think made you great, because you were made great off of somebody's back and you don't want to admit that. I'm always supposed to put myself last. That means I'm supposed to not admit when somebody says, well, y'all tripping. And look, I went to Thomas in high school, Thomas A. Edison High School in Fairfax County, Alexandria, Virginia. That's the high school I went to. Thomas A. Edison. And everybody always says, what? Creator of the light bulb. And he created so many inventions. No, Thomas A. Edison, even though by the way, he did invent some things. However, he gets a lot of credit for stuff because what a lot of people did back then, and still do, by the way, but a lot of people were doing at that time really heavily, was there was a competition on who could get as much stuff patented and have as much stuff, this, that, whatever, and who could have as much credit for inventing. And so they'll go, Thomas Edison created the light bulb, but if it's not for Lewis Latimer, who, by the way, was a patenter and had a whole bunch of things. And by the way, if he was patenting the stuff, he also had to help people with their inventions. Somebody would come in and they say, Mr. Latimer, or right, I had this idea for an invention, and yeah, and it does this and it does that, and he would literally think about it and he would write it out. He would write the schematics out. He would write the blueprint out. He would tell them how it's going to need to work, because they might not even know how it needs to work. He would write it out for them, and then they would pay him and say thank you so much. He came up with what all they did was voice it. He wrote down a vision that they couldn't even see. And then they were able to make money, but they paid him a lot. Lewis Latimer made him a lot, and so much so that when he passed away, Thomas Edison's group, right, came out and they came up with this huge statement and everything, and they were so happy, and they were saying like he's the reason why we did this. And Thomas Edison even came out and gave him love and had to admit like, yeah, if it's not for him, I'm not really the Thomas Edison y'all think. But when you talk about the light bulb, you never talk about Lewis Latimer. Because why? Because he's supposed to be erased. Even if Thomas Edison, who was erasing people on purpose, even if he comes out and says, you know what, we got to give him credit. What are we supposed to do? We're not supposed to give him credit. We're not supposed to tell the truth. We're not supposed to say, yeah, he did that, right? That's so much of our story, is to continue to be last. I say this all the time. Psalm 123 says that there are those who will fill you with contempt, and they become at ease with your scorn, and now you are filled with contempt for yourselves. That's Psalm 123, verses 3 and 4. The 123rd division of the Psalms, verses 3 and verse 4. Or verses 3 and 4. Right? Right? And if any of us begin to speak truth, if any of us just begin to say, hey, what about us in this? We were there. Somebody comes and says, well, it doesn't matter. It's old. Everybody was enslaved. Matter of fact, I'm not even talking about chattel slavery, but a lot of times these conversations at this point, it hasn't happened right now, kind of sort of happening, but hasn't happened right now yet. But usually at this point in conversation, somebody will come in and say, well, everybody was enslaved. I'm not even talking about chattel slavery. I'm talking about how people view us. But once again, it's not even how you view us, because at the end of the day, I'm not here to try and correct your view of me, because y'all's view of me is more important than anybody's view, no matter what skin color the person has. There's people who are skin folk that are not kin folk. They look like me and they still talk bad about me and have nothing to do with what I believe. Right? But that being said, you have to be in a position where you realize, back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, and starting at verse 54, it says that we start looking at each other in our really bad situations. And now, because all of us are without a lot, whatever one little thing that somebody has that we don't have, rather than come together, if somebody has one little thing that we do not have access to, it's time for us to fight. I'm sorry, who is this Bajan person or Bahan person or whatever you pronounce yourself? Whoever you are, hello. It seems like you come on here frustrated with something I said. I didn't catch your original comment, and I'm not tripping off. And by the way, I'm just saying hello. Usually, that's the best way to start. Oh, okay, okay. Everybody's talking about we are the okay. Your initial comment was just we were the first. Okay, cool. So, or I don't know who is we. I don't know well, whatever. Right, but welcome to you. So, these are the things that are interesting. Like we don't have this conversation where we don't recognize that there a lot of people's responsibility is as soon as we begin to introduce anything that's against the status quo, you must recognize that in order for the status quo to exist, you must be last. How you doing, Warren? Right? How you doing, La? Right? In order for the status quo to exist, you must be last. Anytime that you go against you being a doormat, the status quo is threatened. You can be mad at me for saying it all you want. I'm telling you the truth. Be mad at me all you want, but I'm telling you the truth. Right? The second that I say that our women don't have to smile, it's against the status quo. Why? Because sisters will tell you, right? Sisters, you go to your job, you be around your friends, you be around these guys, whatever the case might be. Why aren't you smiling? Because you're supposed to be mammy. And if you don't match up to mammy, then what you doing out here? I mean, that's I know. Oh, here he is. I only knew it was a matter of time. He's a reverse rate. No, no, no. That's the reality. I know y'all forgot this because he done tricked you into believing he's something that he's not. But Drake, remember, there's a very famous matter of fact. Pusha T got him when Drake was trying to come at him, and Drake lost heavily, mightily, right on that song. And what's the front of what's on the cover? Drake in blackface and jazz hands. Why? Because that's something that is supposed to make people at ease. A lot of people forget this. The first people to wear blackface were not white people. The first people to wear blackface were black people. Did you know that? Were you aware of that? Right. The first people to wear blackface were not white people or so-called white people. All right. Same to you, brother Thomas. Right. It was not so-called white people. It was black people, and they were put on blackface because it was funny. It was supposed to be ridiculous because you're already supposed to be really bad because you're black. Don't forget stuff like Draper the Mania. Right. Literally, drapetomania, which means that if you were to try and escape slavery, something was wrong with you. Don't forget, literally, when somebody uses the term, I'm going to beat the black off you, or I'm going to beat you to the white meat show, they actually believe that if you whip somebody and you saw the white meat, it meant that that was righteousness trying to return to the wicked black soul. Right? This stuff you can look up. This is so-called psychology. Right? This is what things are built on. When you see when somebody says it's going to hurt you more than it hurts me, or it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you, right? They're saying that because the overseer, when he whipped people, he didn't care how much he hurt you. But in order to keep control and sometimes laugh at you, the parents take the whip, or the uncles, or whoever's supposed to be like the main person everybody looks up to, and he'll have them beat the person. And now the people are realizing they can't protect each other. But the person, the black Tom, because Tom was actually the good guy, and Sambo was the bad guy. Everybody thinks Uncle Tom and Sambo are the same character because the way they put him in the movie in what was it, the 30s, 20s, or whatever. But you know, um, Tom was actually, if you read Uncle Tom's Cabin, he's actually the one that's positive, and Sambo was negative, right? But if Tom was going to whip somebody, or anybody really, if was going to whip somebody instead of the overseer or instead of the master, then that person, even though they'd whip him well, they'd whip him so that the overseer didn't whip them. So they would take a little bit of the sting of the latch off, but they still was going to whip you to where you had them lashes, right? They did that because it was funny to them. You have Mandingo. Mandingo is a group of warriors, but when you hear the term Mandingo, many of you think about either fighters who fought to the death, or you think about people who bred, because you bred yourself fighters. Remember, they had breeding camps, right? So if you were to ever talk about Mandingos in a positive manner, a lot of us hear Mandingo and start to laugh, we hear about Mandingo and we laugh. Matter of fact, there's a whole movie from what, the 60s, 70s? I didn't understand it when I saw it when I was young. I want to go back and watch it again because now the scenes, when I think about them, they make a lot more sense. Right? But when you go watch Mandingo, if you ever seen pieces of it or whatever, it's about a fighter. He was a slave. He was somebody that was supposed to be willing to give his life. They show you a little side of that, and I say a little, as crazy as it's gonna sound, because it's a really crucial scene. But y'all seen the movie, the modern Django, because there's an old Django too. There's an old Django as well, an original one. But in the movie Django with Jamie Foxx, and you see the scene where they're in there and you're watching the two people go at it and stuff, and he says, "Here you go, boy, have you a beer." Right? Have you seen that scene before? That's Mandingo fights. They took a whole civilization and told you that they are nothing more than people who fight for our pleasure. And people love Mandingo fights. People love them still today. I mean, you say it's WBA, right? You say it's going to be Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul or whatever, right? You'll talk about, the greatness of Sugar Ray Robinson and Sugar Ray Leonard and Muhammad Ali. And look, I watch boxing myself. You'll call it MMA, but it ain't nothing more than Mandingo fights. Matter of fact, with MMA, them cats don't even get paid nothing. And if they try to get away and get paid, they get made fun of. Francis Ngannou, I didn't even know he had already fought Joshua, whomever. Please forgive me, I don't recall his name right now. Joshua, whomever, and got knocked out. Apparently, I didn't even know. It was sad to hear about that. Like I was like 3 days ago, years old when I found that out. I didn't know that they had already fought. I was looking forward to it because he had done so well against Tyson Fury. I guess Joshua wasn't playing that. He came in ready because they already done tried to destroy his career. So he was like, I ain't playing that. And I guess he knocked my man out. But Francis, he went and started boxing because they weren't willing to give him his worth, his value of what he was bringing in. They weren't willing to protect the fighters. There's a lot of MMA fighters. This is what happens. They come in, they fight 2-3 fights. If you lose, because recall this now, all their stuff is basically trying to get pay-per-view numbers. So if you come in there, and even if you become a great fighter, you ain't got time to become a great fighter. Either you come in there and you like 2-0, 3-0 from the jump. If you end up like 0-2, 1-2, something like that, you gone. And you've only made maybe $10,000 per fight, if that. And you have to pay taxes, and you have to pay those who were there. You got to pay for gym time. If they didn't let you, sometimes they might help you out with those costs, but a lot of times they're not. And so now what you're going to do for the rest of your life? Your life is dedicated to fighting. And nobody cares. Because you're a gladiator. Recall, gladiator spirit, right? Even that Sardis spirit in Revelation chapter 3, the gladiator spirit, the gymnasium spirit, only people allowed in gyms were supposed to be men. And they were supposed to be naked, and they were supposed to work out to make sure that they were like Hermes, fast, or to be like Heracles or Hercules, very strong. That was it. That's a gladiator thing. They took the same mentality and they did it to those who were slaves. Native Americans, Native Australians, Native Scottish, Native Irish, but all of them eventually came under the title of Mandingo fights. And you guys recall when one of them tried to run away in that Django scene? You got to stop putting yourself last. You recall when he tried to run away? I won't even go into describing the scene. Some of you have seen it for yourself. Some of you might go to try and find it. If you go try to find it, I'm telling you right now, you better be of a mindset to where you are ready for it. I'm going to just leave it at that. If you're going to go look for it, it's going to be crucial. They don't show, but they're going to show you enough, and you're going to hear certain things, and you're not going to even be aware of it. Matter of fact, you recall what they did to when Django sees what's her name, Carrie Washington or whatever her name is, the one that's his wife that he's looking for, who plays Broomhilda. And you see her in her first scene when she's taken out because she's being punished. And you see her and she's naked and all that stuff, whatever. She's been in the box underneath the ground with that water and all that stuff. That's what the world is based on now. And anytime that you and I, no matter what color, I appreciate our so-called white brethren for doing this as well. Anytime any of us decide that we're going to speak against that. That's why also too, I don't mind telling you about what the Irish went through and what the Scottish went through and what the English went through. By the way, the actual Anglo people, how they were decimated and stuff, and how the Romans went ahead and destroyed them, and how all the stuff. And even Septimius Severus, he did some wild stuff, even though he helped to build all the stuff in Britain or whatever. He was doing it to go ahead and make sure he took over them, and he forced them to do some stuff too. And Septimius Severus, he's an African Caesar, but he still did some wild stuff. I'm not saying it's just as simple as black and white. What I'm trying to get you to comprehend, though, is that your people, your nation, the reason why they're out against certain things is because you are the nation of Yehoshua. You are the people of Israel. You are a chosen generation. You are a royal priesthood. You are a holy nation. You are a peculiar people. And you are supposed to be this to show forth the praises of the Most High. If the devil is an antichrist, if he has people that work for him that have an antichrist spirit, then they are going to be against anything that causes people to look at the children of Israel positively. Point blank. That's why, even though we can't run away from the racism issue, it's not as simple as racism. It's about what we carry. And if I carry the kingdom on the inside, I must make people think that the kingdom has to be last. This is why Yah will take the last and make them first, because what the world has declared to be last will always be first. They can't get rid of you as much as they've tried. You can talk bad about an African all you want, but you can't get rid of them, can you? You can talk bad about a Native American all you want, but you can't get rid of them, can you? You can talk bad about a Jamaican all you want, but you can't get rid, and they Native Americans too, but I'm just saying, right? You can't get rid of them, can you? You can talk bad about an Ethiopian all you want, but you can't get rid of them, can you? And did I say hello yet, Sister Shima? I apologize if I didn't. Right? Their responsibility is to put you last. Yeah, he was gonna give me my 500, right? Yeah, that's what happened in that scene, right? Anything that you do that causes people to recognize the kingdom in you, and also watch this, because they have to admit this. If you are who you say you are, then Moses looked like you. How you doing, Bradley? If you are who you say you are, then Yehoshua looked like you. If you are who you say you are, Adam looked like you. If you are who you say you are, then Shem looked like you. How can I not be anti-Shemitic or Semitic, though? I can't be I can't be against who I am unless I actually have become. See, some of us are actually anti-Shemitic, but not what we think. We're actually anti ourselves. Once again, and how you doing, Minister Dr. Tamar? That's why, once again, I can't be anti-kingdom because I carry kingdom. That's right. David looked like me. Solomon looked like me. Solomon looks like me too, right? Some of us are anti-Semitic because we're anti-ourselves. This is why tonight we need Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And we need to come together like no other time. And we need to give glory to Yah on this new year. And we need to recognize it for what he calls it to be. Right? We need to get closer to our culture. Yeah, we've been abnormally used. We've been abused for so long that we are last. Now, I get it. Yah will make the last first, but I want you to recognize that you are not called to be somebody to be dumped on. You're not called to be somebody to say that you have no value, right? If you recognize the value, once again, it's not as much about the color of my skin as it is you don't like the color of my skin. But then you got to ask yourself, why is the color of my skin? Watch this. Anybody else can preach or teach something and mention slavery, and you won't say anything about it. But when I mention it, you say I'm talking too much about it. Question, why is it that you don't like when I say it? If the reason you do not like when I say it is due to the fact that you are at ease with my being scorned. But when I don't scorn myself, then you're not at ease with it. Something's wrong. How you doing, Sister Nadine? Right? That's why the color matters, is because they know that I come from Moses. So if I come from Moses, you problem. See, when Yehoshaphat was changed to Jesus, and then when Jesus was changed from black to white, and when he was done so to look like Cesare Borgia, to be somebody that was okay for him to be in some Baphomet spirit type of stuff, everybody was cool with that. But the second that we say iconoclasm is real, and we reverse the iconoclast theories, and now it's not theoretical who somebody is, but we know without a shadow of a doubt that your reality must go through the prism of the Most High, who is the only real prism that we should look through. Now you got a problem with it. But you have a problem with it before when you whipped me in the name of Jesus. See, they don't want to tell you this stuff. It's like, right? You had us dance in the name of Jesus, but you don't tell about how you whipped us in the name of Jesus. That's a scene too that they have in Django. That scene where the woman's being whipped and he got the Bible verses attached to his person. Oh yeah. Why don't they tell you that? I'm sorry, Minister Tom. I missed what you said. Truth is judged to tell her more than to being the truth. Yeah, come on now, right? They don't tell you about that. Why was it okay to breed us? Well, Jesus said that it's all right. Oh, we don't. See, I'm not doing this now. They have it written in there, right? When people left the Union, the state said that they left for states' rights to own slaves. They said the Constitution backed it up. And they said that they believed this. They believed that George Washington be turning over in his grave. And they said stuff in the Constitution they said stuff when they left, such as that slavery was mutually beneficial, not only to the slave or to the bond, but also to the free. So those who own the slaves, right? And they say it's our God-given right. That's what they said. That means that their Jesus said that they need to go ahead and have the right to enslave these non-human beings. And if we try to put them on the same level as us, then we are coming against the will of God. That's what they preach. See, we want to act like this isn't somebody's religion. This is religious. This is a faith. This is faith. Now their hope, this is what they hope in, and their faith is based off of that, and that's what they expect to manifest. This is what they wrote down. I'm not making this stuff up. We talked about some of the other stuff, Drippedomania. What about the Casual Killing Act? To where forgive me for using the colonial construct, but it is what it is. That's what they call them. White women were killing the babies and killing their slaves and doing all types of stuff because they were so upset that all the slave children looked like their husbands, because they also recognized that by law, some of those slave children did this, by the way. They could actually try to take what belonged to their children, especially if the slave children might be older than their children. So they started killing slaves, and they wrote a law called the Casual Killing Act. So just in case you casually are punishing somebody, right, you would casually punish. I mean, it takes a great deal to be able to beat somebody to death. But hey, just in case you casually kill somebody, that's all right. They're not a human being. In the name of Jesus, right? Why don't they tell you that when Willie Lynch preached his sermon, it was on December 25th, 1712, from a church, in the name of Jesus? Why don't they tell you that a picnic is when, and forgive my language, I'm just trying to give you, forgive me, right? Forgive me, right? But I'm just going to tell you, this is what they believed. This is what they believe. Why don't they tell you that when they had a picnic, you picked a nigger? They wouldn't even say it like that. You picked a nigger. That's what they would say. And you would put him outside and you would hang him from a tree. And you would burn him up, and you would sell parts of his body. You would cut part of his body off. Sometimes might even eat it, but usually you would sell it. If you're going to eat it, you would eat it where nobody saw it, because you can't be a good Christian and be a cannibal in public. But they cut his body up and then they sell him to everybody, and people would go home. In the same way you got your televisions up on the thing, they had a mantle over the fireplace, and you would put the body parts up there that you had bought, and people would come by in your family and they'd be like, oh man, oh man, look at that. I can't believe that you got that. Where'd you get this from? Oh yeah, I got that N-word from. There's books out where you can look up delicacies. There's books out that you can look up recipes on how to cook an N-word properly. That's why the cloth is red, black, and white. Some of them red and white, some black and white, but a lot of times the color scheme is what? Red, black, and white. Why? Because you got a white purity thing going on, and then on this white pure cloth, you're gonna have some black person whose red blood is gonna be splattered. And they did it in the name of Jesus. I wish I could tell you this was a lie or just a nice story, but that's not the truth. They did it in the name, and they hung them from trees because they knew that cursed is any man that hangs from a tree, although they said you weren't a man. Sometimes, okay, you know what? I've gone too far. Holy Spirit said, leave it there. I was going, we could go in and really get into some craziness and really start to put some stuff together. I'll leave it there for now, right? I'll say this and I'll say this only because I'm not really allowed to say anything else. Actually, Holy Spirit. Okay. All right. Look, real talk. Look at some of the pictures of when people are hanging from these trees and there's crowds there. Look at the pictures. I know it's difficult. Try your best, even if you can't. Put your hand over the person or put something, a sheet of paper or whatever, over the person who's hanging. If that's too difficult for you to deal with. The next part is even sicker, though. But you'll probably be able to stomach it better. But when you recognize what's going on, how you doing, Sister Beverly, you realize that what I'm about to say now is even sicker. Look at in the picture at the people who are looking at the person hanging and taking pictures, staring at the camera, smiling in suits and ties. They're just coming out of service. Matter of fact, go look up some of the old stuff that they've kept historically from church services and stuff, and they've seen, you know, what somebody might have in their announcements, and they'll have in the announcements they're going to hang somebody after the service during the picnic, and make sure that you help us out in fundraising. But also in those pictures, look at the smiles that they have because they're at ease with your being scorned, with you being killed. Matter of fact, here's the really sick part. Look at some of the pictures that have the little boys and the little girls who are dressed up and are looking up and are smiling because they're being trained that Israel being scorned makes them more spiritual and makes them more holy. Like I said, we can go even deeper. I feel like I've probably done enough to where stomachs are churning, and the Holy Spirit says shut it down anyway. So we won't go in there. I'm just trying to tell you, this thing is so wicked. Yes. Oh yeah, Dr. Joy DeGroy. She'll get one who wrote PTSS, post traumatic slave syndrome. Look up the one. Matter of fact, somewhere down the road, we'll take a couple weeks off once we finish the Lord of the Rings watch party we've been doing. Somewhere down the road, we're gonna get into. We might have to watch at least one of her videos together. Matter of fact, we might have to watch it, listen to it, and then keep pausing it. And it might take us a little while to get through it. And I'm telling you, when we watch that one, oh man. A lot of stuff that I'd be telling y'all about some of even the order and structure and even some of the Linnaean stuff, I learned from her. Like one of the greatest teachers out there. And by the way, she's somebody who is quick to tell you that it's not about race, too. It's about a spirit. And they had to be taught, white people had to be taught there was such thing as white people. How do you join the watch? You got to have the Clapper app, and we do it on Clapper every Saturday at 12:30. At least most Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time, right? But we'll get more information to you guys as we get closer and closer. We're on every day at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. We have recordings on YouTube, on Facebook, on our podcast, so we have different stuff. Tonight, the main thing we want people not to forget about tonight, Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Once again, that's going to be the celebration of our new year. That'll be at 11 p.m. Eastern New York time. We won't make it too long. Although recall when it was New Year's in the world, we made sure we was ready to go all night. But I won't keep you on here all night, right? But we're probably going to have the word given, or not probably. The word will be given by Minister Anais. We might have, I might put a minister to work that I haven't told yet. But Minister Anais, she'll give like a quick 15-minute message, something like that. And then I'll come behind with something real quick, and then we're going to pray. We'll have a little bit of music playing and stuff, but we're going to open up the prayer line, and we're just going to pray. And I won't keep you on prayer all night, but, when prayer starts in that vibe and the way that we've started kind of recently, when that prayer keeps picking up, it is what it is. So we're going to pray the new year in. That's nice. We'll try to make sure that it's posted on all social media platforms. If you don't have it from us, look in the description with these videos. Look on our link tree and get in touch with us. You should have a Google Calendar invite as well. But if for some reason you can't find it somewhere, if you don't see the Zoom link, whatever, then make sure that you contact us, right? Get on my nerves today, whatever you got to do. But we will make sure as many people as possible that can be on tonight. Share it with your friends and family, whatever. If you think that they can come on, and they obviously must be respectful and stuff like that of the culture and all that stuff. But if you think it's something they think that they would get something out of as well, we'd love to have them too. But we feel it's important to celebrate our new year like everybody else celebrates theirs, right? Let's see. Yeah, rains, fire. You said you thought the new year was 25th that just passed. Nope. That's not a sign. Now, look, if people are going through different things and all that, once again, the 25th is going to be around a full moon. The full moon can't be a new moon. Some people are going off the equinox. Some people are going off when they do Easter, which is Ishtar. To each their own. We're going to celebrate our new year, the new year, on what we seen has worked for us now the last few years, especially when we've been very dogmatic about it and making sure it worked out and praying about it, and even had some questions about it, and come to find out we've pretty much been on point every year. So we're just going to continue to do in the same manner that we've been doing and be faithful. If we end up being wrong somewhere down the long line, I don't mind repenting, but everything we've seen so far has shown us that we've been on track. So there's many arguments that people have as to why we shouldn't do when we do. Most of them I'm able to kind of look at it and say why the argument doesn't make sense. But once again, I'm not arguing that right now. As long as, and really to be honest with you, I won't say as long, but to be honest with you, I at least praise y'all that people are trying their best to make sure they come out of the world. Right? That's to be applauded. That's why even with the different dialects and the different names and people arguing which one is better, how you doing, Minister Sherman, everybody doing those things, I try my best not to even get into, or Sherman, excuse me, I try not to get into all that stuff, because look, are you coming out the world? Are you learning? Fine, cool. Keep learning and keep growing and keep growing. And one day when I'm talking about some of the stuff and I show you the scripture, or we have the conversation, or you look at the videos, and if they make sense to you, then so be it. If not, cool. But that's why we always say there's culture that comes along with this stuff, right? And how you doing, Richard? Thanks for being on, and thanks for sharing the live. Thank you, everybody, for all your likes, shares, subscriptions. If you hit the notification tab, if you're joining us for the first time, one time, many, whatever the case might be. But once again, we'll have it on all our social media. We'll have it all over the place. And those of you who have my number, or look on the link tree, or whatever the case might be to get it, or look for the 202-599 number, or even the 410 number if you have that one, reach out to us and we will make sure that you get that link ASAP. We'll put it on all the platforms. We'll put it on WhatsApp. It'll be on TikTok. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube twice for the videos, and YouTube will be posted as in the community section. It'll be on Facebook and multiple platforms there. It will be on I'll try to put it on Clapper as well. Clapper, I'm not always great at putting some of that stuff on, but I'll try to put it on Clapper as well. So it'll be spread out. And then also you have the Google Calendar invite, the ministerial staff. I'll make sure I send it to them. So if you need to contact them, those who contact people, I'll send it to them if you want to contact them. And but it'll be glorious. It'll be short and sweet. We're still going to do our live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time, but our celebration, like the for real celebration, where we're going to give everybody a chance to get off work and at least be able to be in their car or something, that'll be at 11 a.m. Eastern New York. I'm sorry, 11 p.m. Eastern New York time tonight. Those who are in other parts of the world where that'll be extremely late for you guys, I will try to make sure that I put together some kind of 15-minute thing for you guys and try to send that to you also. At least you'll have something if you'd like to be there. Once again, if you'd like to join the celebration, the Zoom link and everything will be put out on all social media platforms that we have. So TikTok, we have 3-4 channels. YouTube, we have YouTube channel. We'll put it on YouTube in the community section and the video section. Facebook, we're going to have it, all that stuff. So it'll be on Zoom. Right. If you want to join our evening session for the night, it'll be on Kofi_42. If you're looking for the actual Rosh Chodesh Nisan service, the first day of the New Year service, then that will be on Zoom. Everybody should be able to have access to the link. If once again you don't have access to any of the stuff I'm talking about, or if it's difficult for you to find, or you can't find the video in itself on our channel or channels, then just simply look on here on TikTok. You can look for our link tree. It's in the bio, and it's also in the where it says website. Link linktr.ee. So it's not link tree / it's link link tr.ee/ my name KOFI_OFORI. All right. So link tr.ee/ KOFI_OFORI. Or just look in the link tree and click on it. in the descriptions with the videos on our podcast episodes, or just look in all the platforms. It'll be look in the Google Calendar, invite, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. All righty. Amen. So, and if for some reason you don't get it, you can still look in there, go to the website, find the 202 number. Even I'll make sure I send it to our secretary. If you reach out to the secretary and you can't reach out to me, right? Whatever the case might be, we'll put it as many places as possible where people will have the link. It'll be at 11 p.m. Eastern New York time. It will not be that long, but it will be long enough to where we can give glory to the Most High. All right. And we've been talking about this now for, really since last year. But we've been talking about this since January, during February, March, and during April. We've had this on newsletters. We've had this on so I'm just saying, if there's many places you can go look for it, including when we do our shout out in just a little bit. But I promise you, just look it up. You'll find it almost anywhere that you know that I'm on. Pretty much you're gonna find it. And if for some reason you don't find those places, like I said, bother me. Okay. So I'd say if y'all don't mind, once we finish this, maybe give me a couple hours, because I do have a couple things I got to do. As you guys know, we got housing situation stuff. We're trying to make sure everything's there. We're like teetering the line, but we're still making great progress. So I need to make sure I'm doing certain things that I should have already had done, admittedly. But it is what it is. So I got to make sure I get a couple things done. But I promise you, and no later than about 1:00 p.m. Eastern New York time, you guys should see in multiple places, right? At least Google Calendar invite for sure. But you guys should see it multiple places. And if you're ministerial staff, if you're contact, or if you're the secretary, or whatever the case might be, and you're in the inner circle a little bit more, you should have tons of places where you can go already and be able to see the link. You have a reminder about the time. And if you have questions from there, of course, you can try to let us know. If I get hundreds of questions on it, I don't know if I can answer hundreds of questions, but I can make sure at least everybody gets what's going to be happening. All right. And we'll revisit it. I'll even remind people again this evening. So if you're on the evening session, I'll remind everybody again, but you're going to see the Zoom link pretty much everywhere. And that's going to be straight up the Zoom link. All right. So if you see it on the same Zoom link you see one place, it'll be everywhere. All right. I already set up the Zoom link and everything earlier this rising. I double checked it just to make sure everything was working. So I know that part is straight. Right. After that, we're just going to come together. We're going to worship Yah, and we're going to have a great time and come ready to pray as well. Right. Minister Nice will give us a quick word. We'll have another minister that I'm going to ask to do something briefly as far as to present something. And I'll come in and say like a real quick, brief thing before we pray. And then we're just going to go in. And then once we finish going in, we're going to invite you guys to maybe stick around and just listen to a song that the Most High has for us for this new year. And really, this is when now expect the blessing, #expect the blessing. Now we're going in because we've been going from last year and transitioning into the beginning of this year. So now when we hit, this is our January 1st, if you will. This is our first day of the year. This is Rosh Chodesh Nisan Alav, right? Day number 1, right? Shan, right? When the sun goes down and when the moon comes up, right? This is our time. This is Yah's time, but now because we're his children, it's our time. So we invite you guys to be on for that. And please feel free, once again, get on our nerves, isn't that? But we've been saying it for a long time, telling everybody for a long time. So it's not going to be that long, but I promise you, it's going to bless you. It's going to have you in the right mindset. And now we count down the days. Once the sun goes down today, this is day 1. And on day 14 is Passover. That means on day number 10, have your Passover lamb ready, right? All that stuff. That Passover lamb needs to be chosen by them. That means, get ready for your bitter herbs. Look for your matzah. If you're doing wine, get your wine. If you're doing juice, get your juice, right? Be ready to go. Those who are in Florida, don't forget, April 20th through the 22nd, we'll be there. And this is exactly how it's going to go. I'm not putting the address out until I'm going to tell you the city, but I'm not putting the address out in public on as far as our live sessions until we're probably about 4 days away. Okay. But it will be posted on the website, but it will not be posted here. Right. I like to protect as much as possible, especially when people are coming in. But we will be in Beverly Hills, Florida. And if you contact me, I can give you the information anyway. We will be in Beverly Hills, Florida from the 20th through the 22nd. Okay. Right. And then we will be in Tampa on the 27th. Possibly we might do a meetup on the 26th too, but we'll definitely do one on the 27th. So April 20th, 21st, and 22nd, right? The 20th and the 21st. So this is what our schedule will look like. On the 20th, we'll be meeting at a hotel and we'll do a watch party that evening for the 7 last words as it's preached. All right. If you want to have something to eat and all that stuff and drink, maybe we'll have some drinks, but you might want to bring your own food that night. Okay. On the next day, what we would like to do is during the live session on the 21st, this is in Beverly Hills, Florida as well. On the 21st, and while doing the live session, everybody's invited if you want to come out to that. And then also we'll have another watch party in the evening. We might do something in between. I don't know, but you're invited to do those things, and we'll be around if you want to come by and say hello, etc. Okay. Also, to give us a chance, to rest a little bit as family and stuff. But we can definitely say hello to people a little bit here or there. Then on the 22nd, we'll be in Beverly Hills, Florida, not at the hotel, but at another location that somebody's allowing us to use. And we're going to be there, and you can start coming there around 4 p.m. Eastern New York time or so. And we'll make sure that everybody is coming together, for Passover. And starting at 6 p.m. Eastern New York time, music might start playing. We might start saying hello, everybody, on Zoom about 5:30 or so. But Passover itself on Zoom will start at 6 p.m. Eastern New York time. All right. So we'll make sure that we have that together. By the way, those who are supposed to be helping to put Passover together, we need to make sure that we're meeting up, right? Ministerial staff, make sure that you contact, and I'll try to make sure I reach out to you. But this is supposed to be something where we're going to work with each other, right? So let's make sure that we're working with each other on that. But that'll be on the 22nd. Then on the 27th, the Feast of Tabernacles actually starts on the 23rd. But on the 27th, we'll meet up, possibly 26th as well. But on the 27th, then we'll meet in Tampa. And in Tampa, we'll meet up on the 27th. So some of you in Florida have said you're going to come to both. Some of you from other places said you're coming to one or the other. So if you'd like more information, you want specific addresses and stuff to be ready to come to, feel free to contact us and reach out to us, or just wait for it to show up on the website. All right. Does that make sense? Everybody on one accord regarding that? Any questions, comments, concerns? And while we're in Florida, we won't leave Florida and then come back to 27. So we'll be around. So if you're somebody who wants to try and see if you can figure out something in between Beverly Hills and Tampa or something like that, we'll technically be in Florida from the 20th to the 27th, right? We might get there a little early, but if we get there early, we're going to rest a couple days first, since we'll be traveling a lot, right? Everybody who has a Passover package, order your your Passover package and everything. We're putting that stuff together now. We already ordered it. We're going to separate everything and put stuff together. We should get that by the 15th, which means everybody should get theirs by the 18th. So if you made an order, just wait for that. We'll have that to you guys. And that'll come with, once again, enough for 4 people. Every package is going to take care of enough for 4 people. It's going to have the lamb. It's going to have the matzah. It's going to have the bitter herbs. And that's pretty much it. They'll probably have some instructions and a thank you and stuff like that in there, because we're not going to put the wine. The wine makes it go sky high. And the lamb, the price went way up this year. So we're way up this year, but we're still gonna try and give you the great stuff, right? But if we win any high, if we add any more stuff, it gets crazier than what the $100 donation we asked for. We can't take any more donations for it. We can't take any more orders for it. It is what it is. But just letting you know, so that'll be there. And also recall, it'll be a pretty hefty amount, right, to where you can get full. But the goal of Passover is not to get full. The goal of Passover is to do it in remembrance. Recall, they were going to eat real quick so they could leave. That's the mentality, is that we're eating and getting ready to leave, getting ready to go. Okay. So we're going to try to have that stuff together and have our stuff together as much as possible. All right. Also too, feel free. Remember, this is not just virtual, it's reality. We know people that live in our areas, that live in our cities. Some of you are living 20, 30 minutes away from each other max, right? This is when we got to start communicating. It might be too little too late, but that's why we got to start learning about each other, meeting with each other, maybe even seeing if we can meet in public places, because here's an opportunity where Passover's coming up, or even tonight, really. But here's an opportunity. Passover's coming up. How much opportunity have we been taking to make sure everybody's getting together, meeting up, that we know each other, that somebody could open up property or something like that where people can come together, or we could go to a restaurant and order some of this stuff, or order stuff in advance, or make sure we get something kosher, or whatever we're going to do, right? And have the Zoom meeting so that set up so you can be there with us and we can hear you and see you just like you can hear us and see us, and we can still break bread as a family, but we can also have some people that are there connected physically, right? So there's a lot of stuff that, like we've been saying, we don't just want this to be virtual. We want it to become reality. We don't just want it to be spiritual. We want it to become spiritual spiritual reality. We also, remember, we don't want this stuff to be so mystical that it's not practical. If we're not going to eat together, then what's the practicality of, as often as ye do this, Not as often as you do this off to yourself. So at some point, the goal is for us to come together. So if all we got is Zoom this year, then so be it. But recall, last year I really pushed for it, and the ministers really pushed for it, and we didn't really get response and stuff like that. We got stuff set up now. Let's make sure we're taking account of this. Let's make sure that we're taking time out to worship with each other. Let's make sure we're taking time out to be there with each other. Right? We have an opportunity to do something great, and just because it's different doesn't mean it's not worth the effort. So I'm just putting that out there. Even if for some reason we can't make it happen for Passover, where people are coming together. Hey, okay, we got, once Passover hits, we have 50 days till Pentecost. That's almost 2 months. If you start today, that is 2 months plus. So, take time out to actually reach out to each other. And if you, once again, here's the thing. If you don't have people's numbers, how many people can you contact or text at SOC that could probably get you a number? Or even if you can't reach me directly, could say, hey, can you reach out to Pastor Kofi and ask them for whoever's in my area? And you could get a list. And everybody who's giving us the list, we ask them, are you all right with people having your information? Especially, even sometimes I ask the question specifically, anybody in your area, right? Ministerial staff, they've already been given their assignments and they already have access to the numbers and stuff as well, right? But also, it's not all on them. It's on us. Right, on staff, is on us, but make sure it's not all on them. They got lives and families and stuff too. Bare minimum, you could just say, hey, Pastor Kofi gave me your number, or watch this, their email addresses are online. I didn't put their phone numbers on there, right? Because we got to get them all their phone numbers and new emails. But in the meantime, their email addresses are on the website. Go on the website, email the one that's in your area. It says whose area, like what region everybody's a part of. It tells you who's over what region. So you can go on there and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm looking for so-and-so who's in charge of this, blah, blah, whatever. And look through the ministerial staff, or even the ministerial staff, what their different gifts are. Oh, I need somebody to prophesy. I need somebody to speak into my life. I need somebody who does life coaching. I need somebody who does stuff with tinctures. I need somebody who does, you can go through the list. Right. So I'm just saying it's there. The tools are there. We want to make sure that we're not so mystical with it, that we're not practical. Practicality is necessary, but that's when we got to start working together as family. All right. So love y'all. Appreciate you. It's time for us to take our leave. We're going to get ready to do our shout out. Thank you to everybody for being on with us. We appreciate your heart. And thank you for spending time that we know that you could have done so many different things besides just be on with us today. But the fact that you did spend some time with us, it means a whole lot to us. So we're thankful and we're grateful. We appreciate you. We're going to do a very quick shout out. And then, like I said, I got to get some stuff done and go over to the house and get some stuff done. So I'm going to try and finish this real quick and, do our shout out. And we will then, after a couple hours or so, like at the most, give me about till 1 p.m. Eastern New York time. But you should start seeing on all the platforms, Zoom information, the time reminders and stuff like that. And you should be, and I'll try to make sure I will, and I'm going to ask on Facebook, if y'all don't mind, because that's the only one just about that I can't really control in this regard. But if I have to repost it, I will. But on all the platforms, I will make sure that the only announcement, I'm asking Facebook family, because we got a Facebook group too. I'm asking for all the announcements. The last thing, even on my personal Facebook page, on Servants of Christ Facebook page, on our Legacy Project Facebook page, on all the Facebook pages that we're part of, the very last thing we're going to put up, the only thing that I'm hoping to post on all platforms today is specifically about our meeting together for Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Okay, that should be it. Right, YouTube, it'll be on twice because you're gonna have one in the community and I'm gonna make one video. Other than that, everything should only have one post on every platform. So any platform from IG to whatever, any of them that we have, the only one that we should have on there is going to be with the Zoom link and the time being 11 p.m. Eastern New York time. All right, does that make sense? Is that cool? Hopefully it is. So I'll make sure that happens by 1 o'clock. You should see all that posting up there and this and that. You said your information is not on the website? What's not on the website? Your number is on there? I'm sorry, what? Now I gotta look at the website. I'm not sure. Did I put your number on there by accident? There shouldn't be any ministerial staff phone numbers on there, so then that's totally my fault. Yeah, your number's not on there. It shouldn't be on there. Your email should be on there, because we don't want to give your personal number unless you want everybody having access to your personal. That's why we talked about, like, we want to get everybody their own SOC phone number and SOC email address, so that you won't have to have both working together. Right now you're using your personal, but that's why at some point we want everybody to work, and really y'all can just contact with me, connect with me. Like, it's not that difficult. We just got to make sure you have an app, and make sure that you know how to use the app on your phone, which is really not difficult at all. You're going to use it the same way you use whatever you use for your phone. It'll just be through a different app, and then discuss the stuff the way it works, and then to make sure that we have the email address match, because we have certain things we're trying to do to make sure that all of them are uniform, so that everybody can kind of see that's a SOC one. But yeah, so it shouldn't be, your phone number shouldn't be on there. It should just be your email address. I made sure, I double checked, and now I'm double checking all of them to make sure, but I double checked to make sure nobody's phone number. Yeah, none of our phone numbers should be on there outside of Alma's and myself, and that's because it's not our personal, it's the SOC ones. Or, well, for hers, it's Bloom and Flourish, but she uses them interchangeably. All right. But thank you guys. Appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and take our leave. If you want to join us on TikTok for the shout out, feel free to. If you've never done a shout out with us before, we'll tell you exactly how that works and how that'll operate. And anything else that you guys are looking for as far as information, how to get in touch with us. If you can't wait the couple hours, to be honest, I'm not going to be able to answer the phone until about 1. But if you're like saying, I got to get this, if you send me a DM on TikTok, I will try my best. But DMs on TikTok and I are not friends, simply because it's really difficult to get stuff there. And even if I send links, the links don't usually work, and people usually don't recognize. Let me copy the link and then put it somewhere else where I'm trying to paste it somewhere else, and then I can click on it. So TikTok and DMs in general are not the greatest way. Messenger actually works kind of all right on Facebook, but if you're DMing and stuff like that, I'm just let you know it's probably not the best. That's why I'm saying just wait until you're not on the site at all. Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to fix that. Actually, that might be because I had to correct your thing, because I put your name. Oh yeah, I put your name on there wrong. It's still on there wrong. Okay, I corrected it in the email, so I need to correct your name. I still got you on there with the last name of Clark, which I think I did the thing in my head of you and my sister-in-law, because y'all got the same name. I think I switched y'all, so I'll change that. But your email address is on there though. If you go on the website and you look on there and you look up where it says ministerial staff and staff members, and we're going to try to have this soon corrected anyways, because you'll have a Kofi side of the website and you'll have the SOC. Right now they're so blended to where it just seems like it's all Kofi. So I'm trying to change that eventually anyways. But we have at least up there, if you check on ministerial staff and staff members, you should be able to see on there. And the way it works, if you go to the site, if you click, not only will you see their stuff there, but if you click on the box that says, like, for example, I'll try to show, I can't show it on, I'll show it on TikTok since that's where I'm getting most questions, but I can't stay on much longer. Like I said, if so, then I'm gonna delay the other stuff. But let me try to show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully you'll see it. I don't know how much of it you'll see, but we'll try to do this real quick. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let me see. I can't even see what you guys see. All right, so if you see on here, does it need to be flipped? It probably doesn't, because it's facing the other way. So y'all should see it. So y'all see on here, right? All right, so you see my name on here. You see my name on here. If you actually click on it, it even gives you further options, right? So if you're looking for me, I'm over all regions. I also dealing with the mountain region. I'm the pastor, right? If you click on Amas, you see all regions, project manager, SOC children, etc. If you click on Minister Anais, just this, right? You'll see Central North region, prophetess, Thursday rising prayer, Sunday. I said Sunday rising prayer. That's not necessarily what we call it, life coach, etc. Right? And I can't even put everybody's accolades on there, right? I couldn't even fit them. So I fit what it'll let me fit on there. Like I said, I got the wrong name, so I got to do yours again, Minister Tamar, but I do have the email address on there, so I'll correct that. But so we'll make sure that we get on there. But it even says that Georgia region apostle, preacher, leader, exhorter, personal trainer, right? And the list goes on for everybody, right? So everybody's on there if you go to the website. Right, so we have a lot of stuff on there. So we're updating quite a bit. We've been doing pretty well with making sure this stuff is there. You got Passover stuff there. If you were to click on the Passover, right, you have different stuff that's on there. Some of the same pictures, like you see the same picture that we do during the shout out. If you were to go on here and you were to look at the 7 F's, right, which somebody says, what do we believe and stuff. Oh, well, That's even been changed, I guess. Yeah, so it's been changed. Even so, some of the stuff that we have that's been updated. Thank you, babe, for updating that. So some of the stuff that we now have posted on our shout out, that's actually on there, right? You guys see that at the end of the shout out. You can even download it if you'd like to, so that you can have it for your own stuff. And then you can go through the 7 F's, faith, and you can read what we say faith is, but if you'd like to be able to listen to it, you can listen to the video on it, right? Family, uh, food. It says fortune is probably going to be turned to finance, right? But all these things that are there, right? If you were to go back to the website top, so this stuff is on here. A lot of it's been on here for a little while now. Like a lot of it, even from the beginning of the year, or even some of it from last year, like our calendar. You see on here, when is the early rise of Bible study session? That's on there. And you can click on that for the link. Thursday rising prayer. There's the information, phone number, access code, the men's meeting, women's meeting. Matter of fact, that should be first and third now, but women's meeting, women in red. And this is from last year, so a lot of this stuff was already posted from last year. 7 last words coming up. That's nice, son. For even stuff going to 4 hours of power, stuff like that, Day of Atonement, Feast of Tabernacles. You got all that stuff on there, right? Community outreach stuff, which really hasn't changed much, to be honest. So right, that part needs to be updated. Contact information, 202 number, 410 number, the link tree. You can actually just click on where it says link tree, and that'll take you to the link tree. If you like to email us, if there's something you want to do, if you want to join Patreon, look at TikTok, Cash App information, PayPal information. If you'd like us to contact you as well, that takes you to a certain link. And we even have something on here for Sister Renee as well. Let's see. I just went over the ministerial staff. You got donation. You got stuff about Y'all's Land Project. So all that stuff is there. All right. So that's what we say, check on it, get stuff. But a lot of stuff's been there for a while. And even some of you should have some stuff like email addresses, stuff like that. But Minister Tamach, I'll make sure that I correct your name. I corrected it on the email. And now that you said that, though, I'm glad you did, because I see I didn't correct it on the website. But we'll make sure that we work out this stuff and get you guys your SOC numbers. Unless you have a number that you're using already. If you say you want to use your personal information, that's fine. I just like to have something separate, because I don't want, especially when people are looking after us or looking out for us, or people are trying to do stuff to people in our community, I don't want you guys, having to deal with some of the stuff that just comes with the territory, especially if it's not, necessarily your territory, your lane to run in. If people want to come at me or come for me or looking for me even showing up where I am and stuff, I'd rather have them doing that through me. And even with that being said, I still have it set up where it's very difficult to kind of see where we are. So, okay, if that's the number that I had, all right. Well, once again, we'll try to figure that stuff out. I apologize. I know I'm getting into stuff. I really got to get going, and I'm kind of keeping y'all do some of the stuff. So appreciate you guys. But the main thing for tonight, once again, is look up on all social media platforms and your Google Calendar invite. You should get something, hopefully by 1 p.m. Eastern New York time, that says specifically the link and what time we'll be starting as far as the Zoom link. And that'll be 11 p.m. Eastern New York time. We will still be on for our live session this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. I apologize for last night. I had some stuff pop up and we had to take care of some family issues, but we will try our best to make sure that we have all that stuff taken care of ASAP. All right. So thank y'all. Appreciate you. If you don't get it on some platform or you don't get access to it, whatever the case is, once 1 p.m. Eastern New York time hits, feel free to annoy me, hit me up, do all that stuff, whatever. We'll make sure that we get this stuff together. Okay. All right. So I apologize. And if there's anything else that we talked about, feel free to go ahead, text me and be like, hey, reminder about the stuff, or if it's ministerial staff stuff or stuff that's on there on the website, you say, hey, use this instead, if you don't mind, because I'm probably not going to be able to maintain all that. I'll try to maintain as much as I can. But like I said, I literally got to get in here, get some stuff done. I'm going to need about a couple hours to start. And then from there, I'll start making sure that things are together. But you guys should see, at least by 1 p.m. Eastern New York time, if you give us time, you should be able to start seeing the stuff for tonight. And then we'll kind of jump back in with the other items as well. By the way, ministerial staff, I did see some of you guys. I will try to leave it alone until this evening ish, but I know there's some people that were saying they're open for certain days, this and that, or whatever. We need to make sure that those 7 last word days are complete. We already got the backups taken care of. We had that taken care of before we asked you guys. Those of us who are planning it and are not going to be. Those of us that are planning it, we're going to be backup. So we're not worried about preaching. If we need to step up and preach one of those nights, we can. But we need to make sure that those are official. So I know I'm leaving it to Minister Morrell. Minister Stephen's actually going through a lot right now. So, but Minister Morrell is going to look out best he can. But we're going to try by the end of this evening to make sure this stuff is done, because we want to start promoting it, sharing it, and making sure that you guys are 100% aware of everything you need to do, have, etc. And we can make sure that we have everything to back you up for your night. And also, too, of course, if you want to invite people, family, stuff like that, you can do that as well. Okay. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate you. We got to get ready to take our leave. Thank you for being on. We give our honor and praise once again to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We thank you guys. We appreciate you for your presence. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your continued prayers for each other. A lot of you guys are coming out of some stuff with some great testimony, so I'm excited about that. Don't forget about tonight. We have our live session at 8, and then we'll have our personal New Year's, our SOC, or our Israelite New Year, our Kingdom New Year's will be tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern New York time. We'll have all the Google Calendar invite stuff and all the Zoom stuff, all that on Google Calendar invite and all the social media platforms. Hopefully all of them by 1. You'll definitely see them in most of the places by 1. All right. Thank you again. We appreciate you. We honor you. Take time to love each other. Continue to do great things. It's 11:11, babe. Love you very much. And we hope that you guys have a great day. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And until we have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Peace. For those that are still on with us, this is how the shout out works. Shout out is pretty simple. The shout out is going to go as follows. Once the music begins to play, once again, if you don't mind,